Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena. Woo!
The 2022 season is upon us, and South Africa finally has an FIA-approved GT3 series. 6 rounds, 12 races including the prestigious Kyalami 9-hour. The fastest South African drivers will compete on equal terms thanks to a complex system called balance of performance. Before each round, there will be an almost identical virtual round. This is South African GT Racing, and we'll see you in 2022. Here we go, folks, for this next round of the Virtual SAGT. My name is Ernest Page, and that, folks, is Stephen Koenig. Welcome, Stephen Koenig.
Hello, hello. I'm just putting some sunscreen on. We are here at East London.
East London, your home track, if I'm not mistaken. And I've been doing some research on the circuit, some very interesting things. It's actually called Prince George Circuit. Does that name still count, Steve?
Yes, it is still Prince George Circuit. If you go and chat to everyone down there, they know exactly what you're talking about. But for the general public, if you say East London GP Circuit,
yes.
this
Well, the circuit started off many, many years ago, and it was 24 kilometers long, if you can believe it. I don't know how those drivers of old did it. I mean, if you look at other circuits like Spa, also being in the tens of kilometers long, it seems strange that they were able to do it back then. The current circuit, though, much, much shorter at about 2.4 miles or 3.9 kilometers. It's a fraction of the size of the old circuit, Steve.
Well, that's it. The original circuit, for anyone that wants the equivalent, was the same size as the Nordschleife circuit in Germany.
Wow.
We had our Nordschleife, yeah. We're back in, with the next week with the actual GTs. We're here with the Virtual SAGT. And this is where it's going to test the sim racers, because everyone's gotten used to how much aero can they have on their cars. And now they're going to focus on pure mechanical grip to go and push the limits and also believe that the car's underneath them.
Yeah, incredible circuit, incredible layout, and here now come the championship standings, where we see exactly where these drivers are positioned in relation to each other. Now, on the top there, you'll see Tristan de Nobrugge's name. Of course, he's had some fantastic results in the just a few rounds that we've had. He's had a first place in round 2 and a second place in round 1, and then again in round 3 second place, and then again in round 4 first. So Tristan de Nobrugge deserved very much to be on the top spot. Luke Lucchesi there in second position with some consistent results. We expected Luke to be a little bit faster in places, but he unfortunately just hasn't been able to finish as well as he starts. Maybe today will be different. Another one that's also proven that consistency wins championships is Serradio. Finds himself in third place, the first of the BMWs. And in between that Ferrari sandwich then makes up the fourth place man, Smith, who is followed by Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe, of course, our resident professional driver, who will be taking on the rest of these incredibly fast sim races today.
Well, that's it. We can't also take away Tristan de Nobrugge and Luke Lucchesi also have a racing background. So they look to really give the fight. But Daniel Rowe, out of everyone, is the only one that's been in a GT3 car. Is that going to be able to keep him going through this championship? Are you going to be able to apply that? But we cannot count out. We do have the likes of Varkeysen. We've also got the likes of Labustakny. We've got Doe Herber. We've got Van Rooyen, Phillips, and also Andre Hildebrand. These drivers have been in sim racing from Assetto Corsa Competizione right through to R-Factor 2. So they really know how to dial these cars in a sim world to make them go where they need it to be. Maybe this is going to be the make or break for it, because it isn't over until the fat lady sings at the end.
Well, the list goes on and on and on. And while the fat lady is warming up her vocal cords, we now get to go to the circuit to go check out the qualifying. And you might see a couple of new names on the circuit. There's one of the Ferraris goes off, Bernard Barkhuizen now. And just look at the top of the standings there, 116.3 for Tristan de Nobrugge, holding back his pace there. And a couple of new names on the list there, the Ridley brothers. That is Gage Ridley, joined by his brother over there. So watch out for those two names today. Some new names on the list. A couple of other new names on the list there as well, Steve.
Well, that's it. I'm also taking a look at the championship battle of Luke Lucchesi is not there as well. So it looks like if Tristan can keep it all together, he will be able to, extend his championship. But I wouldn't count out the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen, who is currently in second place, who's looking to go and we had a chat with him a little bit earlier. He said his goal is keep it clean, keep it together, and enjoy the circuit to maximize the points towards the end. I think that's the right way to think about it. Tristan dropping down the aisle now into second place. Do you think he's starting to feel a little bit hot underneath the collar, that guys are starting to catch up? And also the likes of the newer drivers that have coming to it, like the Ridley brothers, coming in and having a great battle, charging up into the top 10 in their first, virtual SAGT race.
Exactly, and I suspect 7A, the number 7A Ridley brother over there, will definitely be quite a little bit faster as the time progresses. I saw him get a 17 earlier on in practice. I suspect he might do better, but interesting to see the times down into the 16s for the fastest guys over there. Barkhuizen currently the fastest with a 1:16.3. De Nobrugge right behind him. He's now gone board with Christian Deploy, who target time of 1:16.3 as well. Quite a little bit slower at this stage as he goes towards the finish line. And let's see where he ends up. Across the line goes Deploy and stays in sixth position with a time of 118 over there. But as we now go on board with Searle Ridley, the brother I was talking about earlier, and I suspect he's going to be doing some solid times here today. And his first time out, has got a sim racing background, but not in this sim and certainly not at this level. So he's looking to just get a solid time today. Top 10 finish by race 2 was the target for him. Doesn't want to do anything much more than that as we go on board with the first of the Ridley brothers, and frankly unbelievable time there, 1:16.3 so far, the fastest time on the board.
That's it. And now you've got to expect that he's looking to try and push a little bit harder than his brother. But one thing that I'm sure is going through the mind is, I'm sitting in 8th place. I can go faster. I can chase these guys down. That first place is not looking too far away. And this is where it starts to get interesting. The new drivers just getting into the mix actually have a chance to win the championship. So it isn't done. And this is what Tristan's got to be aware of, because he's only 0.13 behind Barkhazen, but right behind him, he's got the likes of Fenter, who's close to his time, Seradio, Van der Walt, Deploy, Smith, Ridley. You've got all these guys getting closer and closer to you. You might have had the advantage of some circuits, but it seems like come East London, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
One little move wrong, lifting off at the wrong point, maybe too much rear aero can slow the car up. That can compromise your entire race. Interestingly,
we did get some setup feedback from the guys at RDSA, which is Tristan de Nobrega and his team. RDSA, of course, providing race driver training here in South Africa. Just incredible bunch of guys that do detailed race driver analysis. And he was telling us that running a little bit less area at the back works here on this circuit. It's such a high-speed circuit. We now go on board with the man himself, Tristan de Nobrega, our championship leader. He's got to take some avoiding action there and over the bumps there. And Steve, I'd like for you to walk us through the circuit as we stay on board with Tristan now. We're coming up towards the end of the lap, and once we do, I'd very much like to know what a full lap around the circuit is like as he makes his way into the very tight Beacon Bend over there onto the main straight.
I've got goosebumps already listening to this now. Charging down the main straight, you are just giving it everything she's got underneath the motor. You eyeing out the lines of Potters as your first corner. You've got to keep it absolutely buried. Make sure you turn in just at the right point, not to go off onto the circuit into the grass. Otherwise, you're going to need to weed through quickly. Next up corner is going to be Potters. Rifle. You're going in quick right-hander. Brake hard as you can into Copacabana, slow the car up. You're going to go to about 90 k's an hour, slowing it up back onto the throttle. Little house wave for everyone there, heading towards the complex. Now the complex is a little bit of an interesting part because you can lose a lot of time. It's fast sweeping corners. You've just got to follow the flow. But one little move and you're going to run onto the marbles, which is going to time off the circuit. There's no room for actual big maneuvers in terms of overtaking. You have to play follow leader. As you exit the complex, now you're starting to get the run up to Beacon Bend, keeping the throttle all the way in. You got to eye out that 100-meter board sitting on your right-hand side. Hit the brakes at the marshal post, sling it in as hard as you can. Then early on the throttle, you're going to get a little bit of oversteer and back down the main straight.
This is going to be a mega lap from Tristan de Nobrega. He does a 1:16.102, the fastest lap time so far. And Tristan de Nobrega is your leader at the moment at the end of qualifying with a frankly unbelievable 16.1 second run. And that was the perfect lap for us to choose to jump on board there, Steve. Because that is how it's done. If we can get another onboard look before qualifying ends, I'd just like to point out a few things. Oh, as Damon van der Walt runs wide over there. Here comes the Mercedes-Benz of Ridley as well. Andre Sorodia, we could just hop on board with one of these guys. Some interesting lines on the circuit, Steve. I noticed that the geometric line on here isn't necessarily the correct line to use. Some of the drivers are using the curves and the bends of the circuit. I'd like to know from you if that is actually the case with some of these corners here, where the geometric line is not actually the correct line.
It's a little bit off. A lot of the guys are using, example, into turn one. You do not want to touch that curve, otherwise it unsettles the car quite a bit. It seems like with the sim, it's a little bit more forgiving into turn one. You can run the curve a bit and get yourself out. You're not going to lose too much time. Down in the Pokemon here, you don't want to clip the curve.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are going to get sent flying. It literally lifts the car off the ground. But I see a lot of guys are using it to try and get the rotation in the rear.
We see it there. And Steve, one of the things I noticed with the faster laps is that through Potters, they're not going anywhere near the inside. They're actually running quite a bit wide there. And it's a very interesting learning the circuit, that the way the circuit gives and where it takes away. It's something that one does need to spend time on, and someone that's clearly got that figured out is De Nobrega. Bernard Barkhuizen has now gone board with him at the start of his lap. He is currently in second position, and he's got a 16.1 to beat. And now let's look at those lines now, and you'll see what I'm talking about here as we go down towards the first corner. He slows it down. Barkhuizen's out of the running there in third place. We now got board with Labuskagni in fourth position over here, and he's on his outlap now, about to come through to complete his outlap, and then he will start the lap. And it comes in a bit too fast there, and that's what I was talking about. Going in a little bit too fast into that corner has got so many consequences. And what I thought was a sacrifice corner here, where you'd want to keep it tight, a lot of the guys are actually starting the corner here on the inside, using the downforce to keep the car tucked in there, Steve.
That's a bit of the GT3 cars, you can do it, but unfortunately, any other car that struggles, hasn't got as much aero, you want to be a little bit further out.
That's what I would have thought, yeah.
Follow the circuit ground. It's getting a little bit too tight there. There is a bit of a drop on the right-hand side, and unfortunately, that drop will upset your cars. Because remember, this is a circuit that is actually a street. Cars are constantly driving through it, trucks are driving through it, so you got weird indentations where you don't expect it to be on a race circuit. So a lot of guys are taking that inside line, that super tight inside line. That's where you don't want to be, because you've had hundreds of tires, truck tires, heavy vehicles, caravans, all going and compressing that single part, and you are now getting into a bit of stuck in a groove that's going to land up in one big mess. So you want to try and be a little bit further off from the curbs, especially through the fast sweeps. You don't want to be too tight. You're losing far too much time like that. We saw like Tristan de Nobrega, he was a little bit away from it. He was trying to utilize as much of the circuit on the outside as possible versus the inside. But what I see is the guys are trying to follow the already rubbered in line, keep the pace around there, but as you can see, it's upsetting the car every so often. There's that odd bump that's coming through that's making them overcorrect into the corners, and you battle. Also, when you go into the corners, the little dips in the circuit is causing you to lock up your front tires, your front right taking the main impact throughout the entire race. So the guys have to be very cautious of that. They have to remember those different nuances of the circuit, if I can put it as that.
Yeah, so many nuances on this circuit, so many little intricacies that the drivers will need to get the hang of, and they're going to need to do it soon, because qualifying is almost over. 1 minute of qualifying remains, and here comes De Nobrega now on yet another lap. This is his out lap, and let's go on board with our current leader here. And I'm hoping that if he goes faster, we'll stay with him. If not, we could jump with someone faster. Notice how he misses the inside apex over there completely, and then doesn't even run that wide now, coming up to the next right-hander here. Keeps it tight on the inside there this time, and here comes Kokobana. And watch, he turns in earlier there. I would think he wanted to run all the way wide. He actually turns in a little bit earlier. They're so smooth, but he is running a rear engine setup, so it would be slightly different to the other drivers. And now he's going to try and make an overtake. Oh, he can't. Oh, he gets squeezed onto the grass. Still makes the overtake stick, and that's going to be too much for Tristan de Nobrega. He was up on that lap time as we go on board now with Soradio. And Tristan was up on that lap time ever so slightly, but I think he's done enough. Fenter, however, has something to say about that in second place. Barkhuizen in third. So Radio currently in fourth position. And on his outlap, will he make it across the line to get another lap? It doesn't look like it. So it looks like Suradio might be done for the qualifying session. We're going to see if he's allowed to go out again. Yes, he is. Suradio, oh, no, he's not. Suradio has to park it. So qualifying is over for the most part. Here comes Labuskaghni now. Labuskaghni still on a lap. And I'm not quite sure if he's going fast enough at this stage. But we are almost done with qualifying, Steve. And so far, Donabriga is on top.
Not by much, though. I'm sure he's taking a look at these qualifying times and starting to realize the grid's a little bit closer than what he would like. Remember, he is starting in the front row for this rolling start, which means he is punching a hole in the air for the likes of Barkhuizen. Fenter, on the other hand, sitting in second place, he is also punching he's on the wrong line. He is punching a hole in the air, and he's got Suradio sitting right behind him. And check how close their times are. That's the last place. For me personally, I'd prefer to sit right at the back, well, towards third and fourth. Use the toe of everyone else to get by, because, as we know, a slipstream can cost you a race in a heartbeat, especially on a circuit like this.
Exactly, and what a circuit. South African circuits are so narrow, isn't it, Steve? And this is one of those circuits where was actually deemed too small and too narrow for Formula One many, many years ago, even though it was a GP circuit. Kyalami then took over that mantle. But certainly the circuit is narrow, which means you get lots of action, which means with these GT cars, these guys are going to be side by side for that first corner. Can you imagine Potters at the start of this race? It is going to be absolutely chaotic. Hopefully not too chaotic, though. The drivers have to make sure they maintain for both races. We've got two races today. And if you look at the bottom of your screen, they can see our sponsors. Obviously, without those sponsors, none of this would be possible. I am currently sat at ATK Arena in Cape Town. And if you haven't visited yet, be sure to do so, because it is quite a spectacular little spot.
Definitely. Also a big thank you to SAGT for having this virtual series coming to life and giving sim racers an opportunity to race a GT3 car as their prize, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. Also a big thank you to Michelin, MSA, and Into Africa, Africa Race Together. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the guys feel and how they're going to really enjoy the sim racers getting a taste of the action at the end for real racing.
Yeah, well, there you go. There are your championship standings again so far. Tristan Donabriga right on the top, and it does look like the Ferrari is the car to have at the moment. Luke Lucchesi in second place. I was actually at the circuit the other day. Tristan was racing the Maserati, and him and Lucchesi were walking together. So I'm not sure if there's any team orders going on there. I thought they were sworn enemies, but the two of them are colluding with each other there like best of friends. So I'm wondering if there's any team orders going on there.
I don't quite think so, but unfortunately Luke Lucchesi not making it to this race, and that's going to help him in the points. So Radio gets a little bit closer, he will be able to get right to the front by Tristan. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I think when it comes to this, it's the same as the Ridley brothers. You can be all friends off a circuit, but once the visor comes down, the red mist comes across, there is no friends. It is only competitors ahead of you.
Only competitors, and that's exactly it. It's all about the competition, and that's exactly what the Virtual SAGT is about, to find who is the best virtual driver so that they can make that jump over to the real world. And now they are doing the out lap, and these, as we see now, the qualifying results should come up shortly, and that is what the track's looking like at the moment. Track temperature, all of these settings are as should be as per current settings. So we got some action happening at the back there. Drivers need to stay on the circuit. So hopefully nobody getting disconnected. Yep, you see the Porsche back on track.
So 28 degrees circuit's going to be brilliant. But take us through who's starting where.
There we go. Tristan in front. Christian, Bernard, and Andre Suradio make up the top four. In fifth position, Johan Labuskaghni, Damien van der Walt, Christian Deploy, and Ethan Smith out there in eighth position. Next up, we've got in ninth place, We've got Searle Ridley, the first of the Ridley brothers, followed by Donnie Stander and Gage Ridley, both new to the championship at the moment. Behind that, Luke, the name, although no surname attached to that name, a familiar name to all of us here at ATK. 13th Cameron, 14th Andre Hillebrand, Nicholas van Tonde and Abdullah Aroyewan in 16th position. Harvey Ghost there bringing up the rear as the drivers make their way to complete this incredible outlap. I'm sure the nerves kicking in now as they get ready for and wait for the lead car to pull into the pits, and then we will go racing.
This is it, but you can't, it's going to be difficult to go side by side through Beacon, so you're going to have to wait till you get to the straight. But at this point, 28 degrees, you want to get some heat into those tires, heat into those brakes to make sure that you are ready before you go to Cochabana, because that is where it's going to be the true test. Your tires are going to be too cold, you're going to play slip and slide the whole way through, but you've also got to hope your setup is just right. The grip's going to be there because you've got cold tires and you are heading to Potters and Rifle. And
here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out for Fenter there in second position. Bernard Barkhuizen in third place. That's Fenter there in the Porsche. Bernard Barkhuizen in that Porsche as well. Next to him, Andre Serradio in the BMW. Those four guys are the cars to watch as Tristan de Nobrega leads them off. Behind that, the two Ferraris watching on. They're waiting for the lights to go out. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going racing. Off they go. The Serradio tries to have a look down the outside. That costs him big time. And fifth place man there, Labuskachny, gets into the mix. And Serradio start to fall back now, getting more pressure from one of the Ferraris. The battle at the back continues, but Tristan makes it through, followed by the two Porsches. And there is Labuskachny in fourth position. Van der Walt in fifth. Serradio all the way down in sixth and still getting pressure from behind.
You got an hour's race. You got to try and keep it all together. A little bit of follow the leader going on, but take a look at Tristan starting to open up that gap where you got the likes of Serradio, who had a bit of a rough start, diving to the grass in hopes that he could out-accelerate, but unfortunately the grass is like ice. He's battling with that BMW, trying to catch a Ferrari ahead of him of Van der Walt, just not able to get the power down early enough to be able to close that gap down.
So far, picture perfect start from de Nobrega. There goes Barkhuizen, there goes Venter, Labuskachny in fourth, Van der Walt, Serradio, Smith, Deploy, Ridley, and it looks like the other Ridley brother has dropped all the way down. We don't see him. There goes Gage Ridley dropping all the way down. So both Ridley brothers, or at least the ninth place, is Searle Ridley in ninth place. Gage Ridley dropping all the way down to 15th position at this stage. And here comes Tristan. But Barkhuizen in second position is not giving de Nobrega it all his own way.
No, that's it. And you can see de Nobrega is having to go and try and keep the car in check. He's sliding around a little bit, which tells me that the car's just not quite underneath him as he wants. Just Barkhuizen a little bit more comfortable on the Porsche, goes and closes down through the tighter parts of the corners, losing out when we come to Potters and Rifle. You can see that gap getting made. He's having to try and close down. He's got the likes of Fenter also chasing it right behind him. I think the best thing you can do at this point is work with your drivers, try and close the gap between one another, then focus on the complex. But down into Cochabana, you can see Tristan going and braking hard and just going far out wide. Not helping him out there, so which tells me he's got no grip at the moment. He's struggling.
Yeah, he did mention to me that it looks like he's going all the way through with those tires. Van Tonde gets a penalty, and Van Tonde is all the way down in 14th position, so he won't affect the front pack too much. And here comes Christian Venter in that third place Porsche behind second place Barkhuizen. So Barkhuizen the first of the Porsches. And here comes Venter now as we go on board with Barkhuizen in second place, leading us off the rest of the field. But in front there, as the brakes lock up, is de Nobrega by 1.3 seconds at the moment. But that gap seemingly getting slightly bigger lap after lap. Not much difference in it. All these guys are fairly consistent performances at this stage. But de Nobrega looking very good there in first place at the moment. Barkhuizen there in second place. And now we go on board with Serradio. Serradio starting in fourth place early on. Now finds himself in seventh position behind Smith. And he's going to want to do something about that now. And that's exactly what he's trying to do now. Has a look on Smith. He's going to go down the inside. Tries to have a look at it. Smith not having any of it just yet. Goes down the inside and into the braking zone. Oh, Smith covers it up. And Serradio has to think again. Steve, the braking zones over here, the overtaking zones, where would be the best place, do you think, for Smith to be made the move on by Seradio?
So it's going to be either Cook Banner, or you're going to have to battle it out, not through the complex. You want to play a little bit of follow the leader just out of the complex. You got that nice little sweep to go on, and then right to the right at the beacon is going to be your best bet. Push him onto the outside, sacrifice their drive, and that allows you to break away. You open up a huge gap to your competitors. You just got to be that little bit braver onto the brakes. He does look on the right hand side, but opts rather to hit the brakes a little bit early on.
Oh, there goes Smith sideways. Denobriga gets the fastest lap of the race as Smith gets it sideways there, but it doesn't seem to affect him too much. Andre Seradio on board now, going into the first corner. This, of course, is the iconic Potter's Pass. They're going to want to go through as fast as possible. A breath off the accelerator, and you'll hear it now, and then back on the gas immediately now, and here comes Seradio, going to try and get down the inside for the next corner. The Ferrari runs wide, and Seradio takes it. Seradio takes it as Smith breaks under the pressure, and Seradio gets the position back, now starting his climb back through the ranks.
That's a very difficult thing to try and keep it all together when you're watching your mirrors, and you've got to focus so intently to keep the car on the circuit through Potters and Rifle, and that's where the trick comes in. Fortunately, Smith losing out, drifting wide, as we spoke about. Potters going and being one of those corners that looks easy until you try and do it. But he was very lucky not to damage the car going off circuit. We've seen very few times, well, quite a few times, where guys dive off onto the dirt. It's like ice skating, but unfortunately, that wall is coming up at 300 kilometers an hour at you. You are staring at it, and to pull yourself in check is not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, indeed, lots and lots of pressure can be applied. Van Tonder gets another penalty down in 15th position as we go on board with Ethan Smith in 7th place. And Smith has had some very good results over the course of this championship. Someone that is definitely getting his consistency up. And if we look back at the championship standings, he managed to get 8th for round 1, 9th for round 2, 8th for round 3, and then 6th for round 4. So Smith looking to beat or match his best performance of 6th place. And currently he is 4th in the championship. So it just shows you that consistency does play a massive role. To finish first, you must first finish, and that's exactly what Smith has been doing.
Well, he's kept his nose clean throughout the races and knows when to make moves. So this is going to be interesting. He's now got to involve in front of him. Got to try and figure out how he can close down that gap. He's also, take a look right behind him though, Deploy chasing him down in that Mercedes, trying to really throw the car around, trying to get a little bit more rotation out of the car as well. So getting a little bit tricky there for the Merc, but take a look back at Ethan Smith, close down the gap. Thunderbolt now needs to forget about watching his mirrors. He needs to focus on his braking zones, because going a little bit too late, you're going to slide the car out. He's able to keep it in check. Now it's about getting on the throttle just early enough and managing to pull a little bit away. A little bit of follow the leader here, but now what must be going through Thunderbolt's head? Don't do what I did last time.
Yeah, exactly. We just saw one of the Porsches going to the pits there. The first of the stops, probably some damage on that Porsche, I would imagine at this stage. We're only 7 minutes into race 1. So the drivers, some of them will be stopping as of the 30-minute mark. Some of them will be stopping quite late for the obligatory splash and dash. And some of them won't be stopping for tires at all. We see Gous is currently in the pits, and so is Luke in the pits. Luke serving a penalty in the pit lane as we go on board with Ethan Smith over there in 7th position, and followed by Deploy and the first of the Ridley brothers.
Now you can think they're getting informed that the track temperature is going to rise. You're pushing harder and harder. You're really braking as late as you can, and those tires are starting to degrade quite a bit. How long can you be on those tires? Are they going to be just right for you to finish? Whereas pushing the stints a little bit too long, not changing tires, is that going to be a problem later in the race, especially when you're trying to go through the fast sweeps? You're relying on that pure mechanical grip that's underneath you, but if that rubber is not there for you, unfortunately there's nothing else to save you. Usually you can rely on the likes of the wing to go and help with the downforce, so you can get a little bit of easier cornering. They're running everything now to maximize the speed. I don't know. It's going to be a risky situation come the pit stops.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 30-minute mark is going to be the best. If you're going to change tires, maybe 28 minutes left of the race, swap your tires out and get back out there. Depends how hard you've been pushing those tires. Depends how hard you've been fighting against another driver.
Yeah, so Radio now in 5th position and now starting to apply some pressure to Labuschagne in 4th place. If you saw earlier on Seradio with a fantastic start, or with a terrible start, fantastic qualifying, but not so good first lap. Now he finds himself having to fight his way back in the big BMW M6 over there. That's a big car, man. That's a huge car, even compared to the new M4.
I prefer the M6 because it hasn't got the beaver teeth front end. As you can see, Seradio trying to go on the outside through a corner, but prefer the M6. It's a little bit more beefy, it's a little bit more chunky, but like Bentley, looks can be deceiving.
Yeah,
it is
indeed.
A very, very quick car.
Very, very quick car, and we see Seradio doing very well in that car in 5th place. The other BMW in the background there, that is Ridley. So Ridley in the background in the BMW catching up to this pack over here. You'll be watching on because you can see the 3 cars in front of him, and now he's starting to get closer to make this a 4-car race, led currently by Van der Walt.
That's it. Ethan Smith trying to keep up the consistency on his way around, currently in 7th place. And guys are braking a bit hard. It does look like Seradio going and moving up into 8th place, dropping down actually down the ladder, and that's
Seradio's made a mistake. Seradio's made a mistake there. Seradio's dropped all the way down, and he's obviously gone off circuit, and Ridley has got that position back, and now this sees Seradio, who was pushing quite hard all the way now down in 9th position. He was running 5th, just behind Labuschagne, but Seradio's obviously made a big mistake and now finds himself down in 9th position.
That's it. It's a big, big blow. And you think at this point, Ernest, you've got to get into the driver's head now. What's going through Seradio's mind? You started in 5th. Now little mistakes have cost you. And it can be small things like outbraking yourself into Cochabana. That's, it slowed him up quite a bit. He had to try and get the car back, revert, got it in a little bit of a slide, got it back, but now way down on the pace. Tires have taken a monster of a hit as well. You're frustrated with your driving. You've got to somehow try and pull yourself back. Remember, Seradio's also got a team member inside his ear telling him about the race, telling him, listen, calm down, focus. But as we know, it's very difficult to do when you start making little mistakes and it gets more and more frequent. You start to, push a little bit harder every single time, and maybe a little bit too hard for the car.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing. You got to stay focused, got to stay zoned in, and someone that is focused and zoned in, so hopefully not in the danger zone, is our man Tristan de Nobrega over here, the current leader by 5.5 seconds. Not much competition here for him at this stage. Barkhuizen doing his best in 2nd place there. But so far the gap, 5.5 seconds to de Nobrega. He's got it all his own way at this stage. Behind that is Venter in 3rd place, a further 5 seconds back. And then a big 9-second gap to Labuschagne. So there we see one of the BMWs on the side of the road there. Hopefully that's not, someone's dropped all the way down. That looks like Labuschagne is dropping all the way down. So Labuschagne might have some technical issues over there. And I think Labuschagne's got a big problem there as he's parked his car. What looks like he could have been parked on the side of the road, and even worse still, as Aro Yewan gets a penalty further down in 13th position.
Well, just taking a look at Labuschagne's car, integrating with Cochabana, it just seems like he dived off into the dirt. So he might have taken a bit of damage, bounced off the wall and come back towards the circuit. He's unable to slow that car sufficiently into the corner, and unfortunately it's now making it life incredibly difficult around the circuit. He's trying to lift the car back, let's get it fixed, and depending on how long it's going to take, maybe the suspension is totally ruined underneath it and it makes the car impossible. And it looks like one of the Ferraris,
someone's gone off there. One of the Ferraris has gone off. That's Smith. That's Smith that finds himself falling down the order. And just look at this now. We've got Ridley up in 6th place, the new driver up in 6th position. And Labuschagne behind him, Seradio behind that. And now we've got on board with Ethan Smith, who's in 9th place. followed now by Stander. And Ethan Smith and Stander going to be battling it out here. Oh, that number 52 Ferrari getting massive pressure, goes into the pits, goes Smith. Stander gets ahead. Smith goes into the pits with 15 minutes completed. Arayawun, I apologize, still in the pits as well, serving that penalty. And Smith also in the pits at the moment. Here comes Barkhuizen now in second place, all on his own, seemingly in second place. 5 seconds ahead, 5 seconds behind, and circulating now to, gets it sideways there, circulates it there to try and get the best possible position here today.
Oh, it's going to be a very, very interesting run for him. So he's just going to try and keep it all together, focused on closing down the gap as much as possible. It's going to be...
we've got a whole bunch of BMWs here racing it out. Sorry about that, Steve, but this is getting quite exciting as Radio is a man on a mission. He's got Ridley in front of him, Labuskachny behind him, and Radio not holding back any punches here at this stage, pushing hard. And you were saying what the mentality's got to be now. He's everything to play for at this stage. That BMW we saw earlier on, I'm not quite sure who that is, but lots of issues with that car. And that's the car we're seeing all over the circuit. If we can cut to that to figure out who that is, I'd like to know who that driving that BMW is before we get back to this battle over here with Radio.
This is it. You've got to be so careful. Try and figure out where you are making the mistakes and try not get it interfering too much. Seradio battling very hard with the car. It seems like it's not as settled underneath them. Nicholas van Tonda, who's in the pits, it looks like he's trying to get that car all sorted out. Tristan making his way through the grid, and also has Barkhuizen closing down the gap, 1.3 seconds. But Tristan got held up severely to drop from a 5-second lead to 1.5 seconds.
1.5 second lead now. Is that all he's got? Barkhuizen looking on, and could this be a situation where Tristan's tires have gone completely off? Tristan de Nobrega losing a 5-second lead now as we cut back to Cyril Ridley over there, and Ridley now still in front of Seradio with Van der Walt right in front of him, and Seradio is going to be applying massive pressure to the new debutant here today, Ridley. Cyril Ridley getting massive pressure, having to go defensive there, and he himself attacking on Van der Walt. Oh, there goes Seradio sideways. Seradio with a big moment there sideways, and that could have cost him big time, but manages to catch it. Thankfully, the BMW not too difficult to catch in a slide, big front engine car, but Seradio having a massive moment there out of the final corner.
That's it, and managed to hold it all together, but I gotta say, Ridley has been doing so well up into the top 10. Debut race, East London, not an easy circuit to get the hang of, and you've decided that you want to battle it out against the best here in SA, and yeah, I've got to say, well done.
Well freaking done indeed to Cyril Ridley. I spoke to him earlier on before we started all this, and I myself tried to quickly learn the circuit. It's such a tricky circuit to be fast on, and like we said, at the moment he's taking the geometric lines. These are the basic lines that he's taking at this stage. He hasn't made that many adjustments. I suspect he'll be faster still if he can find a little bit more pace. He's now stuck on behind some of the faster drivers, and I think that's helping him a lot, trying to learn the nuance of the course. And now he's starting to make a move on that Ferrari, much faster than the Ferrari on the straights, looks like it. And as the Van der Walt car goes defensive, but here comes Seradio just eking closer every single time. Barkhuizen and de Nobrega now 2 seconds apart.
That's it, and I've got to say, if I was in Van der Walt's car right now, I'd be a little bit in panic mode, seeing two massive BMWs chasing me down and really putting the pressure on. You can see just a slight lift through. Otters now heading down to Rifle. This is all about keeping your foot completely in it, and make sure you get your line absolutely perfect. One little mistake and you're off into the weeds. Got to come a little bit further, a little bit more towards the outside, turn it in, and whoa, it looks like Seradio up on the inside, and that's what I said, that braking is what's needed.
Yeah, gives him the squeeze there. Fair is fair by Seradio. And that's the thing, that wide line that Searle is taking over there. It works for lap times, but I think the ultimate lap time is a bit tighter. And also, just to cover the inside line over there would have been a smart move from him. But I don't think he wants to mess with the championship contenders here today. It's his first race. He just wants to keep it tidy and do well and not upset the championship apple cart too much. But so far, some solid professionalism from him. And Searle also not much of a tarmac sim racer, really focusing on rallying. So this is one of his first forays into circuit racing on the sim as well.
It's going to be a very, very interesting run as the guys make their way onto the main straight. Ridley trying to go and close back down on Seradio. Now he needs to get into that toe, pull himself along, maybe try go brake a little bit later towards Copacabana. And this is where it's a little bit tricky. You're trying to push yourself that little bit more. You start watching your mirrors, and unfortunately, you can miss simple brake markers. And what happens quite a bit around the circuit is guys tend to brake a fraction earlier than that's needed, and they lose out that time because you can go rather deep into Copacabana. You can go that little bit more, but unfortunately, that's where it comes in. You're going on a downhill. Car feels like it's going a bit fast, and well, you take a deep breath. That's the only way to brake there. You have to take a deep breath. You have to believe the car is going to stop. Otherwise, you are going to lose out. But Seradio closing down the gap to Van der Walt. So something tells me Seradio, his manager, talk in his ear and say, listen, enough messing around. Back up. We need to go and get that 5th place, so we at least in the same place as we started.
Yeah, here comes Seradio now once again, followed by Searle, Ridley, followed by Labuschagne. Searle with a little bit of a tank slap over there, and Seradio clearly with some serious pace. And what Searle and the other new drivers will be having to deal with now is the fact that they've never driven for this long with these tire conditions. They have hardly practiced, just doing hot laps basically. But now is where the tire management starts coming in. And speaking of tire management, Tristan de Nobrega still up again, 3 seconds early on, so gaining some of that advantage back again after a couple more laps.
That's it. Seradio just focusing on going and making his way around the circuit. But does that mean that his car, his setup on the car, is a little bit better? It's made for more of a late race setup, that he's able to push it a little bit further on versus at the start. It was a little bit unsteady. Now it's all warmed up. Ooh, going and hooking the curb and really sending it into the complex. But he seems to be a little bit more comfortable through the complex. Closes right down on the back of Van der Walt, but just hasn't got the top end compared to the Ferrari. So maybe a little bit too much aero on the side, and it's going and slowing him down just enough on the straights to allow Van der Walt to maintain that 5th place.
Oh, there goes Searle. And that's the kind of mistakes that a lot of the new drivers will make, is just not used to holding the car for this long, not used to focusing for this long. As there goes Labuschagne into the pits. 20 minutes in, Labuschagne makes a pit stop. And this will be interesting stuff to see where he ends up when all is said and done. Most of the drivers will not change tires. Most of the drivers will in fact change and just pop some fuel in. And it does look like Labuschagne has topped up the fuel and is now once again ready to get out there.
Well, it's going to be an interesting run. Going for a little bit of an earlier pit stop versus the field. Is it going to work out? We'll have to find out. Seradio getting another penalty, and that may be track limits that he's experiencing. Those penalties. Unfortunately, that's going to cost him, once again, just going and cutting that curb quite a bit. I'm a little bit worried of how much that's actually affecting the tires. Slowly chipping away at them, taking an unnecessary knock on that suspension. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But now a penalty thrown into it, definitely not what you want to deal with this early on into the race. We say early, 37 minutes in an hour's race. You don't want to pit twice.
Yeah, you don't want to pit twice, and there goes Seradio into the pits, and it looks like he has to pit twice. What a pity, and that's going to cost him big time, maybe pushing a little bit too hard. I tell you what, the guys behind him will be quite happy about that as they come flying past, and Stander, Hillebrand, Labuschagne making their way past Seradio now I'm Ridley now back up into 6th position. Tristan currently still in 1st place with a 3.6 second lead. And as I've always told the drivers in this series, you know, if you want us to mention any of your sponsors, please feel free to send us those details, because we like to obviously have as much information as possible. And Tristan did that. And he mentioned to me that Warwick Wealth and Spirit Invest need a mention. They were able to help him upgrade to a direct drive wheelbase and load cell pedals. So their support has been absolutely massive. He also says that RDSA has been there to help him provide setup and the setup of the rig as well. So Warwick Wealth and Spirit Invest, RDSA as well in the mix there, making sure our man Tristan can stay in 1st position. Bernard Barkhuizen there in 2nd position in that Falcon Porsche over there. And so far so good, a solid performance from him for Bernard Barkhuizen, and that will see his championship contention also looking good. He's currently in 7th position in the championship, but I think that's going to change after this.
Oh, definite. And you can be sure that, you know, once he gets around, finishes this first race, the excitement, I've done it, I'm able to go and fight out with the front end, is going to be a big feather in the cap for him, and you're sure that he's going to be more than happy to try it once again in race 2. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting. The guys are going to be thinking, okay, I got to get race 1 under my belt, figure out what's going on, then move on to race 2. So at this time, doesn't matter where you are in the grid, you've got to try and figure out what the car is doing, because you can do little changes to the car to try and help come race 2, to go and get a little bit closer to your ideal positions that you want to be in. So even if it's not going your way, use it as a learning experience to go and develop the car, because you've got another race after this. So that's the mindset you've got to look at it. You might be pushing now, you're focusing on your tires, you're focusing on your fuel. Start to remember understeers here, oversteers at this corner, and you can make little changes that can improve it come race number 2.
Yeah, Johan Labuskachny in 9th position. And the drivers want to get the fastest possible laps, because the laps that they get here will see them into qualifying for the next round. So whatever your fastest lap time is here, that will determine the qualifying. And there we see 2 BMWs battling it out further up ahead as Labuskachny watches on. That is Seradio there going past this BMW. Who is in this BMW over here? We can have a look. Is that Ariyewan? I think that's him in the BMW there. I think that's Ariyewan in the BMW. Further down, he's getting lots and lots of overtakes put on him at this stage, but certainly picking up the pace over time as Johan Labuskachny makes it through turn 1.
I think he hasn't quite warmed up to the BMW as yet. He's still trying to focus on getting the fundamentals of the sim. I know that he's done the likes of Assetto Corsa, he's done different sims, and as we know, R Factor 2 has got little, well, not little, it's got some big changes compared to the rest. More work on the tire development, so your tire degradation, how it handles, your ways of your engine, how that works, where your air temperature and track temperature can affect it.
Oof.
There's a lot more work into the sim to learn. So the guys are still trying to get the hang of it a little bit more, and I think he's still just trying to find the nuances. I bet you come the end of, towards the end of the series, we're going to see him charging up to the front quite quickly. He's learning the fundamentals now to be better for the next time.
Here comes Standard now on Ridley. And Standard looking very racy in that Ferrari back there in 7th position. Very, very close to Ridley. And he's had a look a couple times. And it does look like he's got the pace advantage. Touches the inside line over there as they come into the hard braking zone. Now he's going to have a look. He's braking very late with his car. Very late on the brakes is Danny Standard. And it has worked a couple times, but this time I think it might have been a bit of a disadvantage, but he will keep trying. And I suspect that won't be the last time we see Danny Standard going for that 6th position.
Danny Standard, unfortunately, also having to lift off the throttle going through Rifle as he went onto the grass a little bit. So, and that's what we said, you can lose so much time. One little lift through Potters and Rifle can cost you 1 to 1.5 seconds easy. without even a blink of an eye, and you also set yourself up that you're now trying to get yourself in order. You get down to Copacabana, and you're already in a mess of it because you're trying to do too much.
It looks like that Ferrari brakes way harder than that BMW over there in some of those braking zones. So maybe there might be an advantage under braking there by in that Ferrari. We don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. And maybe the tires are starting to go off on some of the cars. Also, again, we'll have to hear from the drivers at the end of this as we cut to Labuschagne there in 9th position. And him and Serradio now fighting it out much, much further down the field. Labuschagne and Serradio. Serradio earlier on qualified in 4th position. Earlier on, starting the race in 4th position with Labuschagne in 5th place. So these two guys were behind each other earlier on, and now they find themselves in the same situation, but only in 9th and 8th position.
It hasn't been going their way in the race, but I'm sure they're going to look at trying to close it down. Now, the question is, do you work with your competitor to pull you along so you can get closer to the likes of Stander and Ridley, or do you rather try and duke it out, compromising some of your time? This is where you got to weigh up. You're now getting closer to the halfway mark of the race, and it takes one decision that can make or break your race. You let it go a little bit too slow, you lose out too much time. Go gunning past, you set yourself up that they can just fall into your slipstream and take you into the next.
Well, we are at the halfway mark of the race, rightly said, Steve, as we now watch on at this battle for 8th position. Serradio, someone we thought would be fighting for the lead, now fighting for 8th with Labuschagne right on his tail. These guys in qualifying were so closely matched, and I suspect that Labuschagne will be biding his time with that BMW. Who knows? Maybe the BMW is compromised as well. We've seen Labuschagne, or at least Serradio, go off the circuit multiple times. So Serradio could be compromised as the 30 minutes remaining tab comes up on the screen. And ladies and gentlemen, we are past the halfway mark of this first heat of today. And still plenty more action to come as Labuschagne has a good look and trying to line up Serradio somewhere in the next 30 minutes.
Just taking a look at that front end of the Ferrari, he looks a little bit twitchy going into the corners. He's braking hard, but tail wants to come out underneath him. So he's having to just try and fight it a little bit. So do you think he's maybe pushing it a little bit too hard, and now the tires are starting to reach that drop-off point on him, and he's just going a little bit too much and losing out time? Rather back off, get over again, and go charging. That looks like Host going and unfortunately stopping on the exit of the complex.
Oh, he's going to have to watch out for cars coming past. There's Javi Host, but he gets out the way. Hopefully a safe rejoin from him. Takes his time to get back on the circuit, and rightly so. Move out of the way. As the marshals wave him off, Jan Labuschagne. And we've got some comments here in the commentary booth over here, at least on the YouTube stream. We've got Aiden over here, says the setup is hard. The sim is hard for setups. We raced the Kyalami 4 hour last weekend, spent 3 to 4 hours on the setup, and this setup they spent 8 hours on the setup. So it's very difficult to set these cars up. But also at the same time, what the guys are saying is that the updates to the game have made the setup changes even more difficult. So Aiden also mentioned that Ridley has shocked us with his pace. And I think I think I speak for all of us that Ridley really is looking very, very good in 6th position, especially in this class of competition.
Well, that's it. And I think in Ridley's case right now, he's got to just keep going. You're in 6th place. You're duking it out with the SA's finest sim racers for a championship. Now, I know we were talking about not to interfere too much in the championship, but let's be honest here. They're now in the championship. It is your championship to win, and he's showing, lying in 6th place, that he's able to fight it out, even with the guys that have been doing this for quite some time. So I'm really, really surprised, and actually a big smile on my face to seeing young blood, new blood getting into the new sim, and having a lot of fun in it as well, finding out the little bits and pieces and able to make it work for them.
Yeah, the Nobriga, there he is. I'd like to go on board with the Nobriga to see exactly the lines that he takes. So we can discuss that a little bit more in detail as that rear engine number 11 car makes its way around once again. Watch how he rotates the car. So specialized in his approach as he starts to now carve his way through the back walkers. And I'm sure we're going to start seeing those lights flashing any second, because the Nobriga is going to want to make sure that he does not get himself or anybody else into any sort of trouble. Gets it nice and sideways there. The car does seem to move around a lot, but what's strange to me is that he's not using the entire width of the circuit, instead using the groove, as they say, of the circuit to try and find the fastest line. So, and it's so difficult to find that line on a sim like this. Tristan certainly does have the measure of it at this stage with a 6-second gap. And now he has to hold and bide his time as he starts to carve past the back markers down the inside on the main straight. Will this back marker heel to his left? Yes, he does. Tristan now needs to try and line up the first corner. This, of course, is the iconic corner, Potter's Pass, turn 1, as they make their way now towards Rifle Bend, turn 2, also very much flat out towards the very, very tight right-hander. It's almost a hairpin corner from high speed. Might be so tricky is this one here, Coco Banner corner, as the locals say.
Cocobana, if you head down to Cocobana, you'll also notice that go visit the real circuit, you'll see just below you is a nice little, they had like almost like a theme park, so little children rides down there, and if you outbrake yourself, well, you're going to enjoy the coast very, very quickly. Because you're not too far away from the ocean here at East London, the Prince George circuit. And Tristan at this point now running into a little bit of difficulty trying to get his way through the back box. I think this is what compromised him last time, and how Barkhazen closed the gap down quite a lot on him. And it hasn't lost too much time now, but he's now got to try and get around Seradio, who's getting a little bit sideways out of Beacon Bend as he gets back on that throttle.
Yeah, Seradio there, very squirrely indeed. Here now on board with Tristan de Nobriga. This is someone's in the pits there, Searle Ridley in the pits. So Searle Ridley now currently in the pits. Hopefully just a routine stop, and there goes Seradio de Nobriga, still your leader with 25 minutes to go. And of course, folks, this is race 1 of 2. So the second race, still everything to play for, and there goes Tristan as he kicks past Seradio. Seradio, the consummate professional over there, just lets him past. No need to fight things out. Now that battle has already been won, at least this time, by de Nobriga. Seradio will, however, be back, I'm sure, in the race 2 to try and fight for that lead. But for now, he's just trying to score as many points as is possible.
I'm going to stop you there. I don't...
In second place after a solid start from him, and Barkhazen now finds himself very much in a favorable position to score some maximum points without much risk. So he's not going to try and get into any tussles at this stage, just a clean overtaking maneuver without much drama this time.
And slings it through back on throttle and makes short work of the back markers. Now has to try and carry the pace to catch up to Lavastaki, who's ahead of him here, that's currently lying in 7th place, who's looking to duke it out with Seradio right ahead as well. So a little bit tricky there. The guys are going to be very careful. In Barkhazen's case, you don't want to put a foot wrong, otherwise your race is going to go right back to this man, Christian Venter, who's been slowly closing down the gap. He's been a little bit of a silent assassin, keeping an eye on our leaders.
Yeah, that is Gous over there causing some havoc. I think Gous might have caused some havoc further back as well. Very slow at this stage, all over the place, trying to stay out of the way. Venter will not be happy about that. I think Venter might have lost out some time there. And Barkhazen almost getting collected, if I'm not mistaken. The gap to de Nobriga now only 4 seconds as, oh my goodness, Venter's in the wall. Venter's tried to go into the pits, but finds himself stuck in the wall, and Venter's crashed going into the pits. That is what a pity from Venter there. Venter from 3rd position goes into the pits, crashes the car, and now Barkhazen gets a much more solid lead And Deploy in 4th place will be watching on going, can he capitalize on this? I wonder if Deploy is going to be able to leapfrog Fenta. I'm trying to see frantically here what the gap was earlier on. I do think that Fenta was far enough ahead of Deploy. He had a massive 30-second lead early on. So I think he's got enough in hand, but he did lose a lot of time being stuck in the wall as we go on board with Barkhuizen in 2nd position.
Tristan de Norbringer landed up with a penalty I saw that came up earlier just before Fenta went into the wall. So kind of catastrophe right up and down the field. And you see Barkhuizen now 3.9 seconds behind. He's starting to get closer and closer. First place hasn't run away just yet.
Whoops, Barkhuizen gets it a bit squirrely on the exit. Some of the guys running slightly less traction control. You can, of course, set the traction control to high, low, off, and some of these guys will be experimenting with that as the race goes on. Obviously, you want to make sure you get as much access to that power as possible without restricting the car, but at the same time, you don't want to get out the corner and be having massive dabs of opposite lock as Bernard Barkhuizen gets ever closer to Tristan. Just 4 seconds the gap. You're going to watch that gap and also watch the gap between Deploy and Van der Walt. Van der Walt now about 12 seconds behind Deploy. Deploy having gone into the pits there. And Fenta now coming out in 5th position. I think that was Fenta we saw earlier. They were stuck in the wall. And Fenta now in 5th position from 3rd place earlier on. What a pity. Fenta now in 5th.
That's definitely hurt him quite a bit. Barkhuizen, though, is trying very, very hard. And he's just doing everything he can. Throwing that Porsche around to try and get around the guys. A little bit risky. A little bit risky. I think, you know, in this position, he's 4.9 seconds behind. He needs to, just try and figure out how to get past safely without getting too much, too much involved in someone else's dice. You don't want to damage your car. There's 20 minutes left of this race. You got 2nd. You'd be a little bit comfortable there. You can move up. As we saw, Tristan also had difficulty getting around the guys. And this, East London circuit is, it's difficult to get by because you follow the lead a lot. You're going through the likes of Potters and Rifle, nose to tail, in the following in the slipstream, and then when you get into the hard braking points, they're just away from you. You have to brake a fraction later to make it right. But it's a difficult circuit. It is a very difficult circuit for all the drivers, but you can talk to everyone. This is one circuit everyone wants to come back to because it's a proper driver circuit. That's the only way I can say it.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks the part. And as we now make our way 2/3 the way through the race, that is Seradio there still on the charge in 6th place. And let's just look at the standings now compared to 1/3 the way through. At 1/3 mark, Dunabriga was in the lead as we see. Barkhuizen was in 2nd position as he is now. Fenta was in 3rd place and he's now in 5th. Deploy was in 4th place. He's now in 3rd. In 5th position was Van der Walt, who now finds himself in 4th. And Seradio, 6th position, still in 6th place. And he doesn't seem to have moved much up the order, but he is definitely one of the guys that's fighting the hardest here today.
That's it. It's going to be interesting to figure out how it's all going to work out towards the end. You can see Bernard Barkhuizen once again just trying to make his way around a couple of back markers. He's got Seradio just ahead of him. He's just doing everything he can to try and close down on the back of Seradio and try and get by. But I think at this point, you are trying to just utilize the slipstream that's there. There's a little bit of time left in the race. Rather utilize the slipstream, pull yourself along. Maybe it even helps you in saving a little bit of fuel here and there.
Now, the gap, though, for Barkhuizen is massive both ways. If he still has to pit, obviously that's the game changer here. But Barkhuizen with a solid cushion. But I don't think him or Dunabriga have pitted yet. So we're going to have to wait and see. They're going to try and get that gap as big as possible. As someone goes into the pits there. I wonder who that is. That is your leader. That is your leader in the pits. And the new leader now is Barkhuizen. Barkhuizen takes the lead for the first time in this race. Barkhuizen will be leading. And here he goes now on Seradio. Seradio closes the door through Potter's, probably not the best place to try and get the overtaking maneuver, but he's going to try and get as much pace as possible as Tristan sits paused in the pit lane.
This is it. It's now run, Forest, run. You've got a bit of a gap and try and extend it as much as possible. He's looking at the back of that BMW saying, please move out my way. I need to get more space between myself and Tristan. And take a look. Saying that, moves out the way and decides to keep on going. So Bernard Barkhuizen's now got a little bit of a smile on his face, but this man over here, Tristan, is one to keep an eye out for, because you can be sure he's charging back with a vengeance.
Charging back with a vengeance indeed. 11.5 seconds down. 15 minutes to go. Tristan de Nobrega touches the outer curb there. Tires not changed. He would have just put fuel in and still running on the same tires from the previous 45 minutes as we go into the braking zone over there. And that is your first place man, currently Bernard Barkhuizen, who has to stop for fuel at some stage. Even if it's a splash and dash, he's going to have to pull that vehicle in at some stage. And just look at that top 10 at this stage. You've got Hillebrand in 10th position, Stander Ridley, the new man, in 8th place, Labuschagne in 7th, Seradio, Van der Walt, Venter deploy, and now de Nobrega and Barkhuizen fighting it out for that win. This is Damian van der Walt in 5th position.
As the race is starting to wear down now, Damian van der Walt, though, has been keeping it nice and consistent throughout the race. We've chatted a few times about him, and so far he seems to be focusing on the core fundamentals of racing. Keep it on the black stuff and keep it going. And that's helped him out quite a bit. And I'm just taking, there's a Porsche just ahead of him. I think that's Deploy, who's, no, that's Venter, who's got quite a bit of damage to that nose. So obviously did a little bit of repair work, but just enough to straighten the steering wheel, and advanced aero cooling now coming into play, as that radiator has no problem with airflow.
Plenty air going into the front. Pity the engines at the back though, but he's going to use what he can. And that was a big mistake from him, crashing into the pit wall, going into the pits there, and he will not be happy with that performance. Will Venter. It cost him a podium position today. Venter on his way to a podium. He's still in 4th place though. Still in 4th place. Deploy in 3rd position. And earlier on, before this happened, Venter and Deploy were fighting for that 3rd place. So I suspect if Deploy manages to keep his nose clean, he'll hold on to that podium position. One of the BMWs in the background going off there. That looks like Gous there, in the, or at least Aro Yawon in the background there, going off the circuit. Big time sideways moment there for him, as we now cut to Labuschagne in 7th position.
Once again, closing down on the back of Seradio. These two have been having a bit of a back and forth battle throughout the race, and I think they're enjoying this little battle, and I want to see it go into race number 2, this little fight, this little tussle. But as they're doing it, they're pushing themselves a little bit further, a little bit faster every single lap, trying to get a little bit closer to the likes of Van der Walt. And I think it is possible. That's the one thing. You start running a bit of teamwork with one another. Okay, you're a little bit faster here, I'm a little bit faster there. And try and each other on to get a little bit closer to the rest of the field. When it comes to about 5 minutes to go, gloves off. It's all one big fight as they just enter. Seradio now into the top 5 and is more than happy to try and keep that.
Top 5 with Seradio in the top 5. After that incredibly eventful race for him, I'm sure he'll be very happy with that. Maybe even more possible as Labuschagne watches on in 6th position in the Ferrari over there. He's got the Toys R Us logo and the SAES logo on his windscreen over there, looking very cool as he now starts to make his way on the BMW. Look at how he catches up on the straight bits, goes around the outside, then gets squeezed, and the BMW slides its way through the corner there. And Johan Labuschagne has to look on. Deploy now in the pits, and this is where the battle for 3rd place is going to unfold in the pits. Deploy gets overtaken by Venter, so Venter takes back 3rd place even after going into the tire wall. Venter takes back 3rd place. Deploy slots into 4th. Seradio still in 5th position.
Well, that's it. One little pit stop has now changed it all. Fenta's got to be there with a big smile on his face as he limps that car around. Currently in third place. He's got a podium position. And well, the Porsche is definitely not going to win the best looking prize award at the moment, but it's doing its job. And he just needs to try and maintain it. I think he's a little bit down on top end though. So he's got to try and get as much of a gap as possible to the likes of Deploy.
Big gap indeed is what they're going to be needing. Barkhuizen wanting to do the same. 10-second lead so far over De Nobrega, but he still has to pit as far as we know. Fenta in third position there, and there is Labuschagne chasing down Seradio. They're currently one lap down, both of them, but Labuschagne not giving up at all. And Labuschagne having a very good race so far, coming all the way back from 9th position earlier on. He was running in 9th place for a long part of this race, Steve. So Labuschagne with a fantastic performance. He was down in 7th position and he started very, very well. But now he is back in contention, having run from as low as 4th position and then all the way back down to 9th place. And now in 6th position is Labuschagne.
Playing a little bit of a yo-yo run there. Barkhuizen now into the pits. That's going to allow Tristan de Nobrega to come by as the whole grid can start to try and unlap himself. Tristan goes back into first place. But yeah, as you said, Labuschagne playing a bit of a yo-yo game, going up and down through the field. But one that has always been sitting in front of him is Seradio. Seradio has been constantly a little bit of a pain in the neck at this point. And I'm sure that the two of them are wanting to finish up at a reasonable position for race number 1 and focus going on to race number 2. Now everyone is getting that practice in, getting their eye into the race and figuring out what can they do to improve the cars heading into race number 2.
10 minutes remaining. Tristan de Nobrega 10 minutes away from yet another win. Could he be our new our winner and multiple winner, someone that's won more races than anybody else? Then if that would be the case, I'm going to the results of our previous results. He won round 4, won round 2, and now will also potentially win this round as well. And there are 2 rounds happening today, folks, so remember that the guys are going to be doing 2 one-hour races. And this, of course, the first of those races, and De Nobrega in a solid first position. And the gaps between the cars there with Seradio and Labuschagne, the only 2 guys. And if we can go to the Labuschagne battle, that's getting very close to this stage. Seradio and Labuschagne are getting very, very close to this stage. Look at that. And now they start to come up to some back markers. Johan Labuschagne not holding back, even after getting overtaken himself. He's starting to come back. And this Bentley over here from Goos could cause some problems as they make their way through the next section.
Goes going and just spinning it out.
Goos and Seradio touch. Goos in the wall. That's a big accident from Goos over there. Goos and Seradio touch. Seradio goes off as well, and there goes Labuschagne. And we thought that might cause a problem. Labuschagne now getting pressure as well from one of the Ferraris behind him. But Labuschagne still on the lead lap, maintains 5th position. And what a terrible result after all that push from Seradio. Seradio goes out and looks like he got disqualified. He is out of the race. A massive accident from Seradio there. And the 2 of them touched. What a pity, as Goos caused more issues over there for Seradio and the following Ferrari as well.
Well, I think Labuschagne just went and took a deep breath and is currently counting his chickens at this point, because that was extremely close to him. But my heart goes out to the Seradio team of, oh my heavens, you're right up there. And unfortunately, the accident that's just happened has put that car completely out the race. And right towards the end of the race, I'm sure the brake pedal is definitely getting tested. See how much pressure is needed to push the load cell right to the bottom.
Well, I'm looking through the replay over here. They went through what looks like rifle. The Bentley cut across the nose of the BMW. The BMW then lost control. Big time did the Bentley as well. And I think Seradio disappeared there. I'm not sure if he got disconnected or what happened, but I'm not sure. It looks like he got disconnected there as the incident happened. So hopefully no rage quitting from him over there. But he it did look like he was able to continue. Maybe the damage on the car was so bad that they just had to retire the car then and there. We'll have to hear from his team what exactly happened there as we now cut to Bernard Barkhuizen in second position.
What a vengeful little dice there. Unfortunately, not quite what we wanted to see out of that battle, and hopefully they can get the car ready for race number 2 and try and calm down and refocus. My heart goes out to them at this point. You just don't know what to do, because one of the newer drivers who's come into the series unfortunately hasn't been having an easy run in the big Bentley, and has taken some proper damage on that car. I think that was one of the biggest accidents we've seen in the series, in the SA Virtual GT series to date. That is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest incidents we've seen so far, in a high-speed one at that, as the drivers make their way through. I think I'm just waiting for confirmation. I think Tristan might have set a new fastest lap there as well, as Bernard Barkhuizen not giving up at all, chasing down Tristan in first position. Yeah, Tristan set a new best lap of 1:16.4, so that's the fastest lap time on the circuit at the moment. But someone that's certainly going almost just as fast is our second place man, Barkhuizen over there, who has been very consistent over the course of this race.
Yeah, I've got to say, he's gotten close more than once. And I think going into race 2, Tristan's going to be taking notice of Barkhuizen going forward and how close he can actually get. Tristan also having a bit of a difficult time making his way through the field. It seems like he's either gets a little bit aggressive, gets onto the dirt and slows him up quite a bit, or he's not getting aggressive enough to get round the guys. This man over here, Ethan Smith, though, 10th place, still cruising around, having a bit of fun out there, and is following the likes of Tristan. So I wonder if Tristan at this point is it he's trailing Tristan?
Yeah. Why is he pitting? It looks like Tristan's in the pits. Tristan's in the pits, and Barkhuizen now has taken the lead. Barkhuizen has taken the lead with Tristan in the pits. What the heck is going on here? Not quite sure what's happening here, Steve. I'm trying to get some information from the teams and from our producer. But yes, it is correct that Denobriga, and we saw this happen before. Denobriga had to do another pit stop and then found himself once again dropping down the order. He was in the lead, and what would have been an easy win at this stage sees him now back in second position, maybe a little bit too little fuel. Oh, Ethan Smith gets touched there. Ethan Smith gets touched there. And he now also down in 10th position, gets a bit of a nudge, and luckily no permanent damage, and he managed to maintain the position. But look at that, Barkhuizen in first position. It's quite a thing. Tristan going and pitting. We just got confirmed. Labuschagne with a penalty as well. Oh my goodness! Labuschagne gets a penalty from 6th position.
I mean, this is the last 3.5 minutes of a race, of a 1 hour race, and we've gone from one of the biggest accidents we've seen in the series to a massive twist where Tristan is now into second place. Barkhuizen, who's been constantly hounding him, now has a chance to win this.
Barkhuizen, keep it together, bro. Keep it together. If I was his team, I'd be whispering sweet nothings in his ear, maybe slipping a little Carmex in his water. Just keep it together. You've got 8-second lead. You got 3 minutes left. There is no reason to be making any mistakes. Unfortunately, we just heard from Seradio jokingly says we're going to go cry now and be left alone. Sorry about that, Seradio team. We're so sorry about the way this ended for you guys. What a pity. But they are laughing it off. I'm sure they're going to try and figure out how to come back for race 2. We'd love to know exactly what their perspective was on the incident, as Bernard Barkhuizen laps with 8 seconds in the lead. Barkhuizen, let's try and figure out what was Barkhuizen's best results so far this season. We've seen him in 5th place in round 1. We've seen him all the way down in round 2. I don't even think he managed to finish round 2 in top 14. So Barkhuizen coming out of nowhere, 4th place, his best result so far, and we've got ourselves a new winner potentially, as Ethan Smith starts to get lots of pressure there from the 52 car. That's Smith. very tight stuff. These guys have been touching and nibbling at each other for lap after lap after lap, as Ethan Smith now tries to make a move down the inside, going into this incredible corner. Hillebrand takes the outside. Hillebrand doesn't yield, though. They go through side by side through Potter's. Never a good idea. Hillebrand and Smith, and Hillebrand ends up in the lead at the exit. But Smith, I'm sure, took a little bit of a gasp there. Penalty for Cameron. Penalty for Cameron in 12th position, as here comes Smith on Hillebrand once again.
Well, I think Ethan Smith having to lift off his throttle there just to try and keep it going. It's a little bit frightening going into Potter's side by side. It doesn't quite happen, and Hildebrand going completely sideways. I think those tires have now reached the cliff and starting to descend off it rather rapidly.
Yeah, Hillebrand now feeling the pressure a little bit. Ethan Smith right behind him, and Hillebrand slipping and sliding all over the place, as Hillebrand now trying to have a look and see where he can make this overtake stick. Goes around the outside. Smith going around the outside there. Hillebrand going a little bit defensive there. BMW moves over into the pits, goes one of the BMWs.
That's Cameron.
That is Cameron in the pits there. Correct, gets a penalty. Ariyawan in the pit. That was Ariyawan in the pits. Cameron got a penalty early on. As here comes Ethan Smith once again. 20 seconds to go. Barkhuizen still the leader, has increased the gap to De Nobrega to 14 seconds, so no threat now from De Nobrega. And there goes Barkhuizen. There goes Barkhuizen. Was that him off the circuit? Yes, it is. He's starting to feel the pressure now. Starting to feel the pressure. Keep it together. Just a few more corners to go. And this is exactly what happened. I've been in the situation before where your first win is just seconds away and you make silly mistakes. He's going to have to keep it together. 14-second lead. He's got an over enough lead. And this could see his first win. He sees it happening right in front of him. All he's got to do is nurse the car towards the finish line. The Bentley gets out of the way. And here comes Barkhuizen now. Swings it side to side. Don't lose control on the main straight. We've seen that happen too. Across the line goes Barkhuizen. Barkhuizen takes the win. The first win for him this season. And cements himself in the history books of the Virtual SAGT, as Tristan De Nobrega takes second position, a respectable second position, yet a surprising one. Christian Venter with a fantastic performance, even though he damaged the nose of the car, still gets third place for his trouble and deploy, brings us home fourth, and Labuskagri and Van Walt fifth and sixth position. Ridley with a fantastic performance there in seventh place.
You know what? East London always delivers. It always delivers. Doesn't matter where you race, what car you're in, it always delivers. And what a race it has been. Race 1, they've still got race 2. I mean, Barkhuizen at that point, I'm sure he is shaking on the steering wheel. Someone's going to have to pry his hands off it, of the excitement and hold on for dear life. Now, Tristan's going to be scratching his head a little bit, trying to figure out the likes of Venter, who damaged the car, was able to bring it back in third place. I can't wait for race number 2. It's all going to be very, very interesting.
Very interesting indeed. I look forward to seeing what happens next as the drivers slowly start making their way across the line. Here comes your sixth place man, Johan Labuskagni in sixth place. Just behind him will be the first of the Ridley brothers. And we will be going to a short break, folks. Don't leave us. We'll be right back with interviews, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll be talking about this incredible race. And of course, lining up race 2 will start at around 4 o'clock.
The 2022 season is upon us, and South Africa finally has an FIA-approved GT3 series. 6 rounds, 12 races, including the prestigious Army 9-hour. The fastest South African drivers will compete on equal terms, thanks to a complex system called balance of performance. Before each round, there will be an almost identical virtual round. This is South African GT Racing, and we'll see you in 2022.
Oh, what an exciting race. Some of the drivers are not too happy with some of their results. I'm just seeing the comments coming through on the Discord. But certainly 3 drivers, at least 2 of these drivers, Steve, will be happy with their results. Christian Venter and Bernard Barkhuizen, and certainly, although Tristan de Nobrega, I'll be sure to, I'd love to hear what he has to say about his second position. But you were right, man. There wasn't a lot of on-track action, but certainly a lot of the drivers changed position over the course of that 60-minute race.
That's it. And I'm going to refer back because I know Tristan is going to take a look at this. And Tristan, we do apologize for the commentator's curse. That did come out.
What a pity. I'm just checking the
race.
comments from Saradio here as well. Saradio saying that Gous might have cut them off. I'd like to hear Gous's thoughts of that. And obviously, the new drivers definitely, they obviously finding their way around the circuit. Someone that's not new though is the person that's joining us in the Discord over here. Is this Christian Venter? Are you with us at the moment? Christian Venter,
yeah.
are you there?
Yep.
Christian, how was that for you? I mean, you were fighting for position over there. You were running 4th at one stage. You were running 3rd at one stage. I mean, it was up and down the order, but for the most part, you were looking like you were on your way to a solid podium, and then the pit lane wall got in the way.
Yes.
Dude!
Barkhuizen got me at the start, and then here, like 30 minutes in, I was starting to catch Barkhuizen and decided, cool, let's quickly do the undercut.
Yeah.
And then with all the excitement, it's my first racing pit stop in R-Factor and all of this, and poof, into the wall.
What was going through your mind when that happened?
I was just thinking I'm an idiot.
Oh,
And
man.
the worst is I couldn't find neutrals. I'm sitting here panicking, flapping my paddles, like, where's reverse? It was just a mess.
I'm literally holding my head in my hand here because I'm picturing that moment. But all's well that end well. You still got 3rd place. Steve, what are your thoughts?
I've got to say, it was an absolutely fantastic race, man. And I've got to say, how did it feel taking that little bit of damage on the nose in a straight line? Now your aero's slightly affected for more of a cornering aspect. How did it feel going to Copacabana knowing that your nose isn't quite the way it was?
It was a bit stressful. Yeah, I could definitely feel I had a bit of understeer at the front, so I had to turn the wheel more than I'd like to, which resulted at the end of the race, my left front tire was absolutely destroyed. On the straight, it didn't cost me that much though, because I did set the car up to be quite quick in the straight to begin with.
Oh, it's awesome to hear, and well done to you, despite going and seeing if you can move the wall to the pit lane. But 3rd place, walking away with that,
Yeah.
and now moving on to race 2. It's a good way to start off race number 2.
Yeah,
No, we're
hopefully not again.
Yeah, not again. And I tell you what, when it comes to these big GT cars, that can be one of the most nerve-wracking things. Certainly, the Kyalami pit lane over here is so narrow that can be the most stressful part of the whole experience, because the rest of the circuit, backwards, but when you get to the pit lane, you only do it 1 or 2 times a race. So in this case now, the mistake has been made. It's been done. Christian Venter is going to put the visor back down, refocus. 3rd place. Congratulations, Mr. Venter. You are our podium finisher in 3rd position.
Thank you guys very much.
Awesome stuff there from Christian Venter. We've got the other 2 drivers waiting in the wings as well. Our 2nd place man over here, Tristan de Nobrega, joins us now in the commentary booth. Tristan, 2nd place. You are on your way to 1st. I don't know what happened. You seem to pit again. What happened?
How's it, Ernest? How are you?
Very like I've had an exciting race watching you win. I might have shifted the commentator's curse onto you. I thought you had this one in the bag, my friend.
Yeah, so we all know these mods are a bit iffy sometimes, and it seems to have raised its head again. So we're going back to the stewards once again just to chat to them and say, guys, listen, we're getting unreasonable penalties. You guys need to have someone in-game clearing them, because what happened was I outbraked myself going into the last corner, and I put 2 wheels off onto the dirt. Rejoined very safely, no cars behind me or anything, didn't drive off the track far, literally just 2 wheels off, 2 wheels on, and it gave me a drive-through for cutting the track.
Oh my goodness me. And hopefully, yeah, I'll have to let the stewards handle that one. But what a pity. Other than that though, the race is going exactly your way.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. had decent pace, just kept to a rhythm. The traffic was a bit scary sometimes. I think the guys just obviously sticking to their own races and then don't realize that you've come up so quickly behind them. So it got a bit scary sometimes, but yeah, otherwise all good and had some decent fun. So this track is amazing, and yeah, you have some Code Brown moments almost every lap. So yeah, it's cool. It's good fun.
Well,
Steve, any words from your side?
Tristan, we saw that your car was a little bit more loose than the rest of the field. You had a little bit more rotation into the likes of Beacon Bend, Cocobana, and into the complex. Is there any strategy to that, just having a little bit more rear rotation to the Ferrari? Does it make it a little bit easier to corner? Or was it just a kind of a learning factor of maybe need to dial it in for race number 2?
Yeah, so the Ferrari characteristically has quite a lot of understeer, so it is a little tweak that we did in the setup just to try and get the rotation on the apexes, especially in the slow corners. But unfortunately, then you carry that rotation through to the fast corners as well. So going through Potters and Rifle when you're sideways, it's not fun.
No. Not at all. But either way, it did work out. Your experience, you've obviously raced at the circuit many times in the real world as well. It was interesting watching your lines. And I think I speak on behalf of Ridley. Thanks for that little bit of setup information. It seemed to have worked for him in 7th position. But right at the top of the log was you, first place most of the race. I'm sure the next race is going to be a slightly different result, whether it's first or third. Hopefully not second again. But we'll see you in race 2. Congratulations on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tristan de Nobrega over there as we wait for our winner, Bernard Barkhuizen. Bernard Barkhuizen is going to be joining us any moment, and there he is, the man of the moment. Bernard Barkhuizen, currently 7th in the championship, finds himself at the top of the logs, winning a race for the first time this season. Well done, Bernard.
Man, thank you so much, bro. This traffic was so scary, man. Just the people just didn't want to get away.
What happened? Tell us what happened.
Thanks so much, Sam. No, man, actually my race went quite smooth. No real complaints whatsoever with the car physically. But no, actually everything was 100%.
There was a brown pants moment near the end though.
When they took out board the brake marker, the 100-meter brake marker, before that intersection in the middle of the track.
Yes.
But there was 2 lapped cars in my inside, and I needed to go on the runoff on the left side and cut the track to rejoin and make sure I don't get a penalty. But it worked out.
Geez, it definitely did work out in the end. Steve, any words from you?
I've got to say, I take my hat off to you. Well done. I'm sure having someone in your ear like crew chief or even checking your relative saying you're now making up ground, now you're in first place. I'm sure you were wishing for someone to just go and take a piece of tape, put it over the relative so you don't see it. How does it feel to score your first podium in the Virtual SAGT? I mean, especially around a fantastic circuit of East London.
Man, this track is brilliant, I must say. I don't know who actually made it. Probably like VWSA or somebody to get it this great. But I was very surprised to see Tristan picking up some issues at the end. Didn't quite understand what was actually happening, but I'm gonna definitely take that. And my first P1, I'm quite chuffed.
Look, regardless of what happens in the rearview mirror, that's got nothing to do with you, my friend. You took the win. You are our number 1 podium winner for this round. Congratulations on the win, Bernard Barkhuizen, a new winner in the Virtual SAGT this year. And we look forward to seeing what happens in the next couple of minutes as we head into the next round.
Can guarantee you elbows are going to be out. It's going to be tight, but thank you so much.
Oh, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. We look forward to it. Elbows out for the next race, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned as we go into the next race. Just waiting for our producers to confirm the procedure. The racing should start at around 4 o'clock. And we will be taking a short break. As far as I know, the stream will continue to run, if I'm not mistaken. And myself and Wes and myself and Steve will be back in the next couple of minutes to join you guys for the next race. From myself and Steve Kirk, we'll chat to you guys shortly.
Hello and welcome to the post-race show. My name is Kriya Gangia and joining me is Ernest Page from the beautiful city of PE.
Beautiful indeed, and the racing itself was beautiful too. And we're going to jump straight into round 3 of the SAGT to see
Fusion onto the main straight. Silvio Scribanti then decided to dive into the pits for an early stop. Into clear air, he leapfrogged his rivals and managed to stay ahead of Dane Angel and VW Works driver Daniel Rowe. When Stephen pitted and Aldo Scribanti took over, Angel, in spite of running with 75 kilograms of success ballast, surged into third as Aldo got to grips with his unfamiliar McLaren, having had just one sighting lap on the way to the grid. Marcel Angel drove a solid race, having not competed for 2 years, claiming 5th ahead of Rowe and Chelsea Scribanti, putting him first in the Pro-Am class. It didn't come easy though, with the elder Angel and Marius Jackson running nose to tail for multiple laps, until Marius spun his Audi R8, a new car he's still getting to grips with. Jackson's woes elevated Hein Lateghan's BBR Racing Porsche into 7th place, having started from the back of the grid due to mechanical issues in qualifying. Sun Moodley arrived with a shiny new Mercedes AMG GT, this front-engine monster different to the rear-engine Porsches he's used to. In the end, it was Aranjis who took the checkered flag, 26 seconds ahead of Silvio, who managed to pip the hard-charging Dane Angel.
A strong performance from Aranjis and Leveling as they came up with those top honours.
And Aldo Scribanti said he felt like a lady of the night, jumping in these
Goodmans had a huge fight over the opening 20 laps of the race before Angel got ahead of the MJR Audi. The pit stops turned the lead fight on its head. Dane Angel set the pace and ended up to take first place. Silvio Scribanti came home third ahead of Steven, Marcel Angel and the Chelsea Scribanti Goodmans Lambo.
Yeah, I think the effect was smaller than everybody thought. I think it was purely a case of our other competitors just finding pace out of the blue, you know. But I'm quite proud with what we did. You know, I think we had a solid stint. The pit stop was really good. When Charles got in the car, he put in a massive stint as well. So I think from our side, we really gave it our all. There wasn't more to give from our side. Yeah, the time showed that our pace is really good. Fortunately for me, I had the fresh tyres, which gave me the opportunity to push for such a good time. But again, it just showed that you know, the whole package this weekend was really strong, really good.
It's the dream start for us. I mean, we missed the first round, but yeah, luckily with this championship, we having able to be throwing away around. So yeah, we're right in it now. So no, we're happy with that. Yeah, look, there's always pressure on us. I think we are the measure of the whole field. We've always got a target on our back. It doesn't matter when, where. So you know, having won the championship last year, obviously the target is squarely on our back. And I think me and Ari this year, we have a formidable package. It's you know, I'm the first to say I'm not always the quickest, but you know, it's fun to have Ari with me and we being able to push each other. You know, I think in a way I'm making him quicker, just like he's making me quicker. So, you know, end of the day we push each other and it's good. It's it makes for fun on the track as well. You know, bringing in younger, fresher faces. So that's Stradale's aim.
Yeah, we've had an absolutely fantastic day. You know, the team worked and they ran the cars faultlessly. So big kudos to them. They did a fantastic job. I think Dane to win the pro section was fantastic. And yeah, I mean, for us to get a double win, if you want to call it, in the second race of the day was fantastic. Very happy. The next race, Dane will be carrying the 75 kilos ballast. I'll also be carrying ballast in the next race as well. But I mean, that's one of the reasons why it gets mixed up quite a bit, you know, when we You know, we don't always have the same winner all the time, and that is the whole purpose of the balance of performance. So it seems to be working pretty well. Personally, I think it's too much. I think the weights are too much, but you know, that's something we'll discuss and hopefully try and sort out in the near future.
There are already 18 drivers scoring championship points at this stage of the race, with Neveling and Aranjis being the two big winners so far.
And rumour has it that our current championship leader, Dane Angel, won't be joining us at the next race.
But now it's time to look at what was one of the most exciting races I've ever seen, the 4 hours of PE.
And it always proves to have great action when your championship leaders, Botma and Kruger, start from the back of the pack.
The South African endurance race was plagued with drama. Pre-race favourites Rian Botma and Jeffrey Kruger had engine failure. This meant they had to start from the back of the grid. Undaunted, the team arranged for their spare engine to be driven overnight from Pretoria. Within 2 hours, the engine was in, but that would not be the end of their woes. Another firm favourite, the Tavares Lategan 911 Cup, broke a side shaft in Friday's practice. The team flew in a replacement component which arrived at the circuit at 8 AM on race day. With both favourites starting near the back, it was young Kwanda Mokoena who started out in pole, with Sun Moodley in a shiny new AMG GT alongside. When the lights went out, it was a furious rush to the first corner, where Sun Moodley unfortunately spun out in the Mercedes. He did go on to run the first hour of the race and completed 55 laps. Botma climbed the ranks faster, snatching the lead from Mokoena's Mia's GT4 Audi after just 4 laps, with Tavares in the Porsche quickly making his way up to third. One of the fastest cars on the mixed grid was the backdraft slingshot of Mike McLaughlin and Steve Clark. The pair led for a period, but power steering issues meant that Lategan would later snatch the lead. Endurance racing is a race of attrition, but that didn't stop the Class E backdrafts from racing each other like it was a sprint race. Inside the cars, it wasn't all roses and champagne for many of the teams though. Mayer, Walson, Harvey were forced to nurse the car's brakes and suffered a puncture along the way. Harm and Baron Pretorius had a strong performance run to 6th overall. A minor off wasn't their only problem though.
Looks like I drove over my son's foot. Now he's got a sore foot, I think, but I think he's all right. At least he's driving well, so I think it's all right.
Ellison and Radloff were running low on fuel, but a stellar drive from both drivers made sure they ended up in first of the backdrafts and 4th overall. Cape Townians David and Roberto Franco with Danny van Nicke qualified their Graphic Supply World Volkswagen Polo Super Cup to first in Class D with a smooth, consistent performance. Benjamin and Christian Morgenroot had legend Ben Morgenroot in the car with them, but were plagued with mechanical issues all weekend. They did, however, finish the race in a respectable 4th in class. Brian and Tony Martin drove a great race in the backdraft until the prop shaft donut broke, which cost half an hour to fix, dropping the backdraft founders to 12th overall. After a torturous 4 hours for some, Hein Lategan and Tavares brought the BBR 911 across the line closely, followed by Steve Clark and Mike McLaughlin. Mokoena and Mia brought home the GT4 in 3rd and took 1st in Class C, with Ellison and Radloff taking the hotly contested Class E honours.
Fantastic week, fantastic 3-4 days. We had some drama yesterday or day before. Managed to get the car ready. The car ran beautifully thanks to our team and obviously Hein's performance. I started, he finished. It was a perfect weekend, and being back in PE, it was lovely. I love this track. Both of us like the track, and number one is always a great thing to achieve.
The car ran perfectly. I mean, he did a great first stint. He got the car from the back of the grid up to 3rd, and then it was a long stint. I had to do 2 hours 15 minutes. So I think we're going to be stiff in a day or two's time, but it was a great drive. We'll still do Pakisa with this car, and then hopefully, if everything goes well in East London, we hope to have a new one.
Yeah, it was tactics. The pace was very fast in the beginning. We chased, and then we said, nah, let's use our head a bit. Then Chris put a fantastic middle stint in, and that put us in a position to play the tactics at the end. And it was literally touch and go. All three of us could have run out of fuel. One of them capitulated and did an early pit stop, which gave us a little bit of time, but still, we had the reserve light on for the last 20 minutes. On the radio, they were screaming, come, pit lane's going to close, do a stop go. But we rolled the dice and, well, we drove the car down the pit lane, so that's good. All these races are really it's a 1 hour race that takes you 3 hours to get to the start of it. So you got to pace and get yourself in the right position for the last stint, and we did that. But 3 other guys did as well. All three of us were together in the start. We were all together at the end, and I think a bit of luck played our part, because the other guys got a puncher. They had to change a wheel or something, and that gave us some breathing space. Otherwise, they could have won it. They were quicker on pace overall. But I think that's Backdraft's idea, which we all support. So of the cars that are identical spec, Class E Backdraft production cars, the idea is the tactics and the driver and how you can set the car up. And I think we're getting it there. There's been hiccups along the way, but Red Star was also the same thing. Red Star was very close. We got the victory by a very small margin at Red Star, and yeah, it was 30 seconds at the end, but could have been 30 seconds the other way. Yeah. Everyone in the series.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for race 2. And unfortunately, we couldn't let Colin Ellison finish that sentence, but you can check out that video on our socials as well. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Stephen Koenig. If you look at the bottom there, you'll see the companies that made this event possible. And speaking of events, Stephen Koenig, it was quite an eventful first heat.
What a race it was. Lots of lots of ups and downs, dramas and joys going on. And also Bernard Barkhuizen taking his first victory in the SA Virtual GT, which is absolutely fantastic. But a lot of the guys had to tinker with their cars a little bit. I'm looking forward to seeing what Seradio can do after having an unfortunate contact that landed up with the car being retired. They coming back once again to duke it out. It's going to be a good race. I think we in for a very, very close race number 2. As we've seen previously, the first race is just to warm up. The second race, that's when it's on.
That's when it's on indeed, and they are about to start their outlap, and the driver's now getting refocused, zoned in. Seradio should be back on circuit, and both Ridley brothers should be on the circuit as well. As we cut to our weather and track temperature report, everything much the same as it was on race 1. And now the drivers will once again take on the iconic East London Grand Prix circuit, or as you guys call it, the locals over there, Prince George circuit.
The Prince George circuit, the third iteration of the circuit, 3.9 kilometers long, and it is the fastest you're ever going to go in a race car here in SA. This is a circuit that relies on pure mechanical grip and having a lead foot to carry you around. And I think all these drivers have learned you've got to pick your lines absolutely perfectly. Otherwise, the tire walls tend to have magnets that draw you in.
Indeed, and we saw earlier on the results from race 1 counting the qualifier, the fastest laps, I apologize, counting for those positions. Tristan Nobriga leads us off. Christian Venter in second position. Bernard Barkhuizen in third, with Johan Labuschagne making up the top 4. Watch as that Corvette leads them off over there. In fifth place over there, Andre Seradio is back in fifth position, with Ethan Smith followed by Christian Deploy and Damien van der Walt in the number 13 car in 8th position back there. Further back on the grid, some of the new drivers making their way through. Searle Ridley in 9th place, Luke in 10th, Andre Hillebrand in 11th, and Cameron all the way back there in 12th position. But there are more than 12 cars on the grid. We've got Abdullah in 13th position, Gage Ridley in 14th, and finally Javikos in 15th position, as they now make their way into the final sector as we go on board with Seradio. And this will be the start of race number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Don't hold your breath, because you might miss something. In fact, don't close your eyes, because you definitely will miss something. These guys are going to go at it any moment now.
I think we're going to hold our breath because I think these guys have now dialed themselves in. The likes of Seradio does not want to lose out this position. Currently in 4th. He has got the outside line heading into turn 1, so this is where he wants to be. Got caught out last time, had to dive to the dirt, lost a bit of traction there, but doesn't want to lose track of what's right next to him. That blue Porsche of Barkhuizen.
Yeah, it does look like Labuskachny unfortunately got disconnected there as they make their way around. Look at them bunching up now. You got Donobriga, Fenta, Barkhuizen, Seradio. Donobriga there in the Ferrari on the inside, and it's lights out and away they go. The Ferrari gets away, and if Fenta once again slots in. Barkhuizen this time, Seradio's moving up the outside, does seem to work. He touches the sand again as we saw in race 1 earlier on. This time Seradio slots into 4th place, Fenta in 3rd, Barkhuizen 2nd. Deploy now as the rest of the field starts to shuffle around. You can watch them shuffling. Oh, we got a blue Ferrari around the outside there. That is Van der Walt going around the outside. That's the wrong way around the circuit. Van der Walt finds out the hard way as he goes all the way to the back of the queue. Bernard Barkhuizen once again challenging for position over there, and followed by Fenta, who got a fantastic result earlier on, now once again in 3rd place.
As you can see, Potters is more than happy to go and take a couple of bits off your race car, and that Ferrari was bouncing up and down through the air, but Barkhuizen constantly putting pressure onto the back of Tristan. Now is Tristan thinking a little bit too much rotation in the rear? Is that going to help me early on in the race? And Bernard's just looking to try and stick as close as he can and utilize the tow, as they've got an hour race to get through, and Bernard's looking to try and make it 2 for 2 for today. Tristan is focusing on just getting it right.
Bernard Barkhuizen late on the brakes there, and as you can see, just 0.4 of a second behind, and Fenta now slipping back further. Luke going past Seradio, slipping all the way down. Seradio in 11th position now, so there's a big problem at the back there for Seradio. Ridley in 7th place, the second of the Ridley brothers in the top 10 in 9th position. Bernard Barkhuizen there in the Porsche in 2nd place with pressure from Fenta as we go on board with Seradio, and once again it looks like Seradio's got the short end of the stick in that BMW there. What a pity as race 2 gets underway.
Taking a look at it, it looks like Seradio got a little bit caught out by the likes of Beacon Bend, landed off into the dirt and tried pulling himself back. Unfortunately, they're so close to one another that you can lose out just by making one small mistake. A big mistake like that has sent him way down the field, further than he wanted to ever be, and now has to try and get the pace all the way back. Hopefully no damage on that BM, but I'm sure there was a Code Brown moment, and that brake pedal was getting pushed further than it could ever be in its life.
Yeah, Tristan Donobriga is such an interesting line there. He keeps it tight coming out to that right-hander and then uses the downforce. And I had a similar experience coming out of Sunset, sitting next to Van der Linde. There was Sheldon Van der Linde sitting next to Sheldon Van der Linde in a BMW DTM car. And you can feel that the downforce works. The car doesn't need to run wide. The downforce pushes the car down, which means you can take an early exit on the previous corner. And look at Tristan sliding that car around there. He said that the car's a little bit loose and it can get a bit sketchy through that fast sweeping corner over there called Potter's Pass, but he manages to hold on as Andres Seradio continues his charge once again. And I think that's going to be par for the course for him today, charging through the field.
Well, he's got to work for it this time, and I'm sure the team are going, focus, calm down, work your way through apexes and exits. This is what we need to keep going. Luke in the Porsche Golf colors is having a tremendous time trying to keep back the likes of Gage Ridley behind him, one of the newer drivers that's chasing him down in that big Mercedes, having a huge amount of fun out there and also putting on a fantastic show while looking for his brothers a little bit further up the road in 7th place.
Fenta seems to have gone up. Barkhuizen's all the way down now, so Barkhuizen down in 4th place. Something's happened in front there with Barkhuizen slipping down to 4th place. Fenta in 2nd. Deploy gets 3rd as we cut to Barkhuizen, and there he is all the way down in 4th place after fighting for 2nd position. Something's happened there with him, and hopefully nothing too major, as he now has to be satisfied with that 3rd position. I'd like to go back to that fight though for 6th place between Cameron, Ridley, Luke, and Ridley Seradio as well. That battle further back, and look at that pack further back down the road.
Well, this is what we said, that the guys are going to get closer. Race number 2, you've now got your eye dialed in. You've got the car a little bit tinkered to make it absolutely perfect, and these drivers are now showing how close they can get to one another. Luke having to go defensive, looking to the middle.
Oh, Ridley around the outside. Ridley goes around the outside. That's not exactly the conventional attack over there. Now Ridley has to face Seradio, who tries to get his own back over there on the exit of that corner.
This is definitely turning into a bit of a race. Luke now trying to run away and leave Ridley to deal with Seradio while he goes and chases down the other Ridley ahead of him. So you can be sure the two brothers are now talking to one another, saying, please, hold him up a little bit. I want to come win the fight.
Gage Ridley gets a penalty there. Gage Ridley gets a penalty. Maybe it's because he ran too wide there. The game does seem to be dishing out these penalties left and right. So Gage Ridley gets a penalty, and here comes Seradio on Ridley down the inside, giving a little bit of his own medicine. Does he make the move stick? Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be very close. Seradio down the inside, down the main straight, followed by Hillebrand, who's also getting involved in the mix. They're going to go through Potter's Pass. It's BMW versus Mercedes-Benz. Luke looking at his rearview mirror. He's wondering to himself, which one of these is going to come out on top? The Mercedes-Benz in front, and once again Seradio has a look, but the Merc just seems to be a little bit too fast as they make their way through Potters.
The Mercedes just able to eke out, but not by much. I think Seradio just not getting the corner exit needed out of Beacon to gain that little fraction of speed. I'm talking about less than 5 kilometers just to get past the guy's nose, and is having a tremendous bit of fun out there. But Gage Ridley, after a bit of a rough race one, now has got a big smile on his face, because let's be honest, nothing's better than having to fight tooth and nail with your fellow competitors to hold your position. Otherwise, it's just a time trial race.
Oh, just look at that. Seradio, one of the few drivers to really capture that curb over there. He hops straight over it, high jumps over that curb over there. Most of the other drivers missing the curb, but the M6 BMW seemingly much, much better and more suited as the battle continues on there. You've got Ridley. Oh my goodness, the Porsche makes a move on the Ferrari there. That is Cameron over there, looks like it, getting overtaken. Cameron getting overtaken there by Luke. So there goes Seradio into the pits. He's not going to tussle with these guys any longer. Seradio dives into the pits, and here comes Gage Ridley once again on Cameron. Luke up ahead. Further back is Hillebrand still, and Van der Walt further still with Seradio in the pits.
Cameron, one of our newer drivers, now getting the hang of the car, and it seems like Beacon seems to be the Achilles heel, but the rest of the circuit, he's got it all dialed in. Late on the brakes, lock it up completely.
Oh no, Cameron and Luke taking each other out there. Luke going around the outside, Luke all falling all the way down. Cameron's still on the grass. Hopefully he doesn't lose it on the way back on Cameron. And now this puts the Ridley brothers in 6th and 7th position. The new boys on the grid find themselves in 6th and 7th position. No team orders here now. It's all for the win.
Well, that's it. I think Cameron at that point, we talk about sending it. That was full sending it with a pinch of yeet behind it as well.
Yeah. Hillebrand spinning out there on camera. Hillebrand spilling out on camera and now falling all the way back, and he just lost it on the exit of that corner there in that Ferrari. A little bit too much power, a little bit too much right foot over there, as now Cameron and Luke still fighting it out. And here they go once again. Luke trying to go down the outside there, gives Cameron a bit of a nudge. Get out of my way. And Luke gets a penalty for his efforts, goes straight into the pits to collect.
A little bit rough to do it in front of the stewards. That the steward officers are right there. They can see Beacon quite clearly, and unfortunately that little nudge, worst part to make it. Rather go towards complex where it's a little bit harder.
Cameron with a big slide. Big slide. He's parked it in the middle of the circuit. Here comes one of the other cars. That's Hillebrand over there. Has to take evasive action. Gets past, but Hillebrand taking the cautious approach there. And as soon as you make any adjustments to the car, you kind of move over left to right, don't you? So that's exactly what happened with Hillebrand there. He made a slight adjustment. Luckily, nothing terminal, just went onto the grass a little bit. But that's better than collecting a bright green Ferrari in the middle of the circuit at 200 plus kilometers an hour.
it's semi-blind through that corner, so you're going to arrive on the scene and just check a whole bunch of smoke, and that's what Hildebrand saw. Decided, you know what, I'm going to just rather go off onto the grass, because the smoke doesn't seem to be going that way.
Yeah, the rule is don't drive into a cloud of smoke flat out. That's kind of one of the rules. Some drivers have done it and gotten away with it. Others have done it and paid the price. So these guys are not taking any chances there, and rightly so. De Nobrega still leads us off, but this is Hildebrand in 9th position.
He's gaining up a little bit of ground, got it all sorted out through the complex, and now has to focus on trying to get a little bit of pace back. It looks like Gage Ridley in the pits now.
Yeah, he's collecting a penalty from earlier on. Gage Ridley had a penalty from earlier on, so that pushes him all the way down the order again. But he did get a penalty earlier, and I'm not quite sure what he's doing so long in the pits. But there are 15 minutes remaining. We just had 10 minutes of action, but already an action-packed first 10 minutes of this, the Virtual SAGT second heat of the day.
That's it. It's absolutely crazy to see how it just changed within 10 minutes. The action heated up, especially towards the back end of the field. The guy's so close, and even now, Hildebrand is a little bit ahead, but not too far. Cameron slowly hunting him down. Arwen, though, 10th place and starting to make up a bit of ground as well. So remember I said keep an eye on the youngster. He really knows how to work out what's going on with the car, and it seems like he's getting a little bit more confident here at East London, trying to push it a little bit further every single time.
Yeah, Hildebrand looking very good there in 8th position. The car looking good too. I gotta say, I like that livery on that car. Very distinctive stuff. So Hildebrand looking very good as we cut to Tristan de Nobrega in his Ferrari as well, looking quite similar to Hildebrand's car there. But one thing is different though, and that's the number that will be flashing on that car. Number 1 in 1st position is the man Tristan de Nobrega. This time hopefully going to stay in 1st position. He was commenting on how unfortunately he got penalized, wrong or right. It affected his race tremendously, push him down to 2nd position, and hopefully this time now he can stay in 1st place.
The sim seems to be very close to other well-known sims where you get warned once or twice. Listen, you're pushing the limits here, and then once you go beyond that, it's more than happy to dish out those penalties to you. You got your 3 warnings, now you're going to get it. And Tristan now has to try and remember to keep it in the back of his head that it can happen if he pushes the car a little bit too hard, too many times to score that, get the penalties. The guys have to be aware of it, put it in the back of their mind, and try and race within the lines as much as possible. We do have unfortunate cases where guys drop a wheel here and there, but much like ACC, where it tells you cut the corner because you gain time, R Factor 2 is the same sort of penalty system. If you are seen as gaining time, it will issue warnings and penalties as per its coding. So you can, as sim racers, we tend to push the boundaries, and Tristan has shown it along with the likes of Barcase and Fenter, who's one of the newer guys that's come into R Factor 2. We've seen him race the set, of course, the competizione quite a bit, and he's also managed to just go a little bit off track once or twice. But Seradio hunting down the likes of Arwen at this point.
Yeah, Arwen unfortunately feeling the pressure. Oh, and they touch. Seradio squeezes through. Arwen having to heel there, but Seradio, I don't think was going to. I don't think he was going to do anything other than get past everyone over there. So Seradio making his way through regardless of any sort of protest from the other driver in the sibling BMW. No sibling love over there, just sibling rivalry. As Andre Seradio makes his way through to complete another lap. Top 10 position for him, but I'm pretty sure he won't be too happy with that. There's definitely more pace over there as Hildebrand finds himself now in 8th position. Hildebrand earlier on was doing much better, and now slots up to 7th place, goes past Van der Walt, and now finds himself in 7th position. Cameron also making his way past in the 333 car. Seradio now as well into 9th position. And we saw earlier on Hillebrand starting off in 11th place. So Hillebrand will be quite happy having jumped up all those positions from 11th position.
Now remember, the guys have also been driving not just an hour, they had a little bit of a break and they back into the seat. They're starting to get that fatigue kicking in. You know, you're starting to build up the lactic acid in your legs because you're pushing onto the brake so hard, you're fighting with the steering wheel, and also you are constantly focusing at a screen that's flickering. You're starting to get a bit of eye strain now. This is where it's the test of endurance for these drivers, and it's where the virtual world and the real world start to blend to one another. You start to feel the fatigue on the human body and what it can be from just focusing incredibly hard, having to work to try and keep the car in check and constantly push those boundaries. And I think that's where our drivers are starting to reach that point. You don't realize how much driving you've done until you've had a little bit of a 10-minute breather.
Yeah, Luke there getting it a bit squirrely, and that's exactly it. But guys like Tristan, you know, having raced in multiple series, will be used to this. I just saw him the other day at Kyalami racing the Maserati. What a fantastic looking car. And I think he'll be quite used to this length of driving. Hopefully he can maintain for the next 45 minutes or so. Fenter in second place over there. He's going to be happy with that. Barkhuizen in third, Deploy in fourth. But I don't think our top drivers will be making many mistakes. We did see Barkhuizen, though, having a small incident on the final lap earlier on, but usually those incidents are few and far between with this level of competition. And there goes Christian Venter in second place.
That's it. And Christian Venter, after learning where the pit lane starts, has now managed to move up into second with a big smile on his face. But if he looks in his mirror, there's Barkhuizen slowly creeping up on him, and I think it's something to keep an eye out for. I don't think Barkhuizen's quite out of the running just as yet. He got the taste of the cherry right at the top, and man, he wants it again.
Oh, that cherry tastes so sweet, doesn't it? Christian Venter knows all about that as well. Top three runner. Soradio gets another penalty. Soradio gets another penalty. And I think the stewards are going to have to look into this one. Hopefully that penalty is a deserved one, as Soradio finds himself off the circuit there. And that looks like Soradio parked on the side of the circuit there. Oh man, what a pity, what a pity. Denabriga still leads us off. Here comes Venter once again. Oh, sorry, that was Abdullah on the side of the track, not Soradio. So that was Abdullah on the side of the track out of Yawan. And Soradio now finds himself with yet another penalty. We see the 333 car going into the pits over there. That's Cameron. And here comes Gage Ridley in 10th position. A top 10 finish would have been a fantastic result for him. So he is looking for that top 10 finish. And I think he might just get it if he's able to keep his nose clean in that Black Falcon Motorsport Mercedes-Benz.
That's it. And I'm sure Gage is driving the Merc and having a huge amount of fun in it. But I think he needs to go have a chat to the advanced driving side of the Mercedes, the Mercedes South Africa, and get some interesting little tips of how to control a vicious beast like this Merc that he's driving. It is an incredible piece of machinery. It's actually very tail happy on many of the different sims that we drive, whether it's a Assetto Corsa, whether it's a Assetto Corsa Competizione, iRacing, Gran Turismo, the same fundamental applies. It's got a long nose. You think it's going to understeer on you, but it's actually very twitchy on the rear. So Gage is having to constantly correct and constantly follow the tail the whole way around as he gets used to the car. And I can't wait to see when he enters the next round. He's going to be much, much better. He's going to know what the car's going to do and have a little bit more experience. And I'm sure you can go and have a chat to the likes of Tristan de Norbringer and say, listen, racer, RDSA, please help. I want to try and improve to get the car back up to the top where it deserves to be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what each of these drivers is trying to do to get to the position they think they deserve. Sometimes that's first, sometimes that's top 5, sometimes it's top 10. But certainly Searle Ridley over here making a bit of a name for himself in that BMW in 6th place at the moment. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe he's catching at more than a second a lap at this stage. Smith in front of him. Could Searle find himself in the top 5 in his first race? This certainly would be one of the best debuts we've seen in recent times for Searle Ridley, as he now has 40 minutes of racing to go and has found a rhythm by the looks of things. I'd love to go on board with him to see. Oh, there goes. Smith goes wide. Smith goes wide. Ridley gets the position, and there you have it, folks. Ridley is in 5th position.
That is exciting times. Definitely bragging rights going to the family. Can go and sit at the head of the table now. You have deserved it. Now you just got to carry it forward for 40 minutes and 30 seconds. And Tristan de Norbringer doing a 1:16.9. Very, very close to his qualifying time, and is really trying to put a bit of space between himself and Fenter, who's only 6.1 seconds behind. It's still all or nothing at this point for him.
Oh yes, it's still all or nothing indeed, and I mean it's still 40 minutes of driving to go. So as we, oh no, Ridley gets a penalty. Ridley gets a penalty. I'm not sure which Ridley that is, but one of the Ridley brothers has got themselves a penalty. Smith gets ahead once again. Searle gets a penalty, and Smith gets ahead once again. So Ridley's gonna have to go into the pits, and there goes his top 5 dream at this stage. And Searle Ridley gets a penalty for his trouble. Tristan de Norbringer still leads us off.
He had a taste of the cherry. The cherry's sweet. It doesn't matter how high the cherry is. If it's further than where you were, it's always a sweet cherry. And now he's going to go hunting it down, because to score a top 5 in your debut race, I mean, what's a better way to end off a day?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me a better way other than coming in first.
Yeah, this is true, but I don't think that 5th is going to be a realistic target at this stage, because unfortunately now he has to serve that penalty. I do think a lot of drivers will get penalties at the moment, but unfortunately that will cause him to slip further and further down. So far, de Norbringer leads us off, still in 1st position. He has had 1st position pretty much since the beginning of this race. Well, not pretty much. In fact, he has had 1st position since the beginning of this race. So that is de Norbringer in 1st place. Fenter was in 2nd place since the start and has kept that position. Barkhuizen was in 2nd place at one stage and now is 3rd. So a lot of the guys have shuffled around. Deploy was in 4th place, still 4th. Smith still 5th. Ridley has moved up, but he will move down shortly. Hillebrand, the big winner once again, in 7th place at the moment, all the way from 11th position. But I suspect after Ridley makes that penalty stop, Hillebrand will go up even further. And that could be the fairy tale story for him coming to a close.
Okay. Ernest, we've done this a while. We know each other. I'm going to lay the chip challenge out here. I think Ridley is going to get that 5th place. He's seen it. He can do it. He's got the pace. Yes, he has got a penalty, but the race isn't over yet. You can make up some time. It just takes a little bit of tweaking on your driving style to make it work. Can you push those tires a little bit longer than everyone else to try and eliminate taking on too much fuel?
Yeah, Gage Ridley is in the pits. Gage Ridley's in the pits. I'm not sure if our producer did tell us that Searle Ridley has a penalty. I can't see if he's still got a penalty, but Gage Ridley has gone into the pits. Maybe that was a pit stop, but a little bit confusing when you got 2 brothers with the same surname on the screen.
So who do you think's going to get? Do you think Searle Ridley is going to get that 5th place?
I'm not too sure. I doubt it at this stage, simply because if he does have a penalty, then that will put pay to that dream Christian Venter over here in 2nd position, though. A solid 2nd position with 6 seconds either way between him, Barkhuizen, and de Norbringer. Oh my goodness, just as I say that, Christian Venter gets it sideways there, but not too much. That was a close call there from Venter, and if he'd have spun out, he could have lost that 2nd position quite easily.
That's it, and managed to hold it on, but you can be sure that there's impressions of his fingers in that steering wheel trying to hold the Porsche all together, and well done to do it, especially in the complex. Now it is down to Tristan just keeping it all together. He's got a bit of space between himself and the likes of Venter. 8 seconds. I mean, he's putting some massive gap between himself and 2nd place. When you got... Let's see. He's going to get in traffic, and that's going to be the telltale, whether he can keep it or not.
This is Damian van der Walt on Hillebrand over here. There's a back marker in the mix as well. And Damian van der... That's Seradio there in the mix. And Seradio unfortunately finds himself in a very precarious position. David van der Walt gets past the Ferrari, gets past Hillebrand. So Hillebrand losing out of position. And this is Seradio. Look at Seradio's line there. Grabs all the curb he can. And Seradio finds himself in a sticky position here, fighting with guys that are usually on the same pace as him. But this time, he's a lap or so down.
That's it. And it's got to be frustrating that you're going around and seeing there's a blue flag. You know, getting told that you're a lap down, let the guys go, and you know you're on the same pace as these guys. But the best thing you can do at the moment is let Damien to come by, let the guys go by. There we go, into the pits, hard on the brakes, and I wonder if he's trying to do a bit of an earlier stop now, try and get it out the way and focus on the remaining 35 minutes of the race to just get to the end and maximize as many positions as possible.
100%. There is 35 minutes of racing left. Tristan de Nobrega in the Kessel Racing car over there, still in the lead as we go on board on the bumper cam as he makes his way past one of the other Ferraris over here. The back markers, that looks like number 11 car, that looks like Hillebrand over there, I think it is. And here comes Tristan de Nobrega, full speed ahead in this Ferrari, looking very, very good. The car's very similar looking, but Hillebrand certainly not as fast under the braking zone. A bit of a small lock up there, touches the inside curb, gets past without any drama.
And that's the one thing that Tristan would love to see more of the drivers doing, just minding out the way, coming. You don't have to stop in a straight line, just go and brake a little bit earlier, let the guys go, still make a corner, no loss of time. And now that's allowed Tristan to just keep up his pace, keep the momentum. He doesn't have to worry about anything. For Hildebrand, he's able to get behind Tristan, utilize the slipstream, pull himself closer to the likes of Van der Walt, and do everything possible to get by. So this is what you want to have, a fast car ahead of you, punch a hole in the air, close up that gap to the position you're going after, and then try and come back at it once again.
8 seconds the gap between Fenta and Tristan, and as Tristan does so, he continues to lap these other cars, continues to make his way past the slower cars and continues to keep it in the safe zone. Hopefully no issues from him. We saw earlier on he had a drive-through penalty earlier on going into the pits thanks to a little bit of an excursion off the circuit. Hopefully this time though, no more excursions left as we make our way towards the halfway mark of this incredible race. The first 10 minutes of this was quite exciting, but things have settled down into a bit of a rhythm at this stage. Seradio out of the race, ladies and gentlemen. Seradio with a DNF finds himself once again out of the race, and I'd like to know from his team, if they can, let us know what exactly happened there. What a pity. One of our faster drivers is out of this race. He showed such incredible form over the course of the season, but just not able to get that consistency and find that rhythm here today.
That's unfortunate, and you know, this is one thing about East London. It can bring out the best and the worst of you in one fell swoop. Little mistakes can cost you quite a bit, and unfortunately for the Seradio team, going to have to go back to the drawing board for the next round, try and figure out how they can improve the car, and maybe try and do a little bit more of a, they spent 8 hours on the set trying to get it going. Maybe the next race is going to be a little bit better, because East London is just one of those circuits that you can either get the hang of it or you can't. We've seen it with Red Star, we've seen it with the likes of Kisa, where some drivers are just a little bit stronger at different circuits versus others.
Yeah, well, the next couple of circuits, round 4, 5, and 6, will be Kyalami, Red Star once again, and potentially Killarney Raceway. So these drivers will once again go to some of their favorite circuits as we go on board with Tristan de Nobrega as he now starts to lap more and more of these cars. A Ferrari in front, and that is Ridley further up the road here. That is the 103 car. Of the 13 car, Van der Walt there, I think he's just gotten past. That's Van der Walt, looks like it. And this is Ridley over here in 10th position, top 10 position for him now on the cards. And Gage Ridley only, Gage Ridley's first race here. Cyril Ridley, only his first race as well, in 6th position. And you might be right, who knows? Maybe he gets that 5th place after all. Here comes Tristan de Nobrega once again.
That chip challenge is still out there. You can say yes or no, whether he's going to get that 5th place or not. But whoa, Van der Walt going very, very wide.
It's not the first time we've seen him do that. It's not the first time we've seen him do that, that's for sure. So Van der Walt needs to keep it on the black stuff, as they say. Just a couple more minutes to go, 31 minutes to be exact, half an hour. Not that much time in the real world, but when you're racing cars at this pace, it can seem like a lifetime depending on your position. As here comes Tristan de Nobrega on Gage. Ridley Gage not yielding at this stage. Gage is a back mark. He's going to have to give way sooner or later. Oh, they come a little bit too close for comfort there. Gage Ridley, one of the new drivers, needs to keep it tidy here. He doesn't want to get involved with this championship tussle as they make their way through the final sector now and back towards the start-finish line any moment now. And Gage is going to want to get out of the way here to give Tristan the best chance to get past. Here they go once again down the inside. And Tristan will, in fact, get past safely. Gage not wanting to have any part of that going on to the start-finish straight.
The one thing I've got to say that's been really exciting about this championship is new guys are able to come in and play. But even if you've seen the Virtual SAGT for the very first time, you want to be a part of it, you can actually still join. It isn't closed off. You can still get in there and still have a crack at trying to beat some of the fastest in SA. And that's what I think is what's amazing about the series. It's not just, it's done and dusted. You have a chance to come in and try your hand at it. I'm sure, Ernest, let's be honest, if you weren't here behind the mic, I'm sure you'll be having a crack at the likes of Tristan
I would
Nobrega.
have loved to. I would have loved to. The sim itself is so fun, and I enjoyed this one a bit more as far as the driving experience goes, a bit more than a set of courses. So I think it feels a bit more like the cars that I've driven in the past. So it's a bit easier for me to jump into this one and go. But I'm not sure if I'd be giving Tristan a run for his money though. His pace is absolutely incredible at this stage.
I'm sure if you chat to RDSA, they will be able to give you a hand there. But take a look at Christian Venter. Not a damage notice this time. Second place, cut down the lap time from 8 seconds to, well, now to 7 seconds. He's starting to make his way up. A little bit more comfortable with the car, a little bit more comfortable with the circuit, got the rhythm, and seems to be a little bit better this time round versus the last race.
Yeah, we got a new fastest lap over there once again. Tristan de Nobrega gets a 1:16.8 as Christian Venter still carving his way through the field over there. Gets past Hillebrand once again and still continues to lap back markers with 7 seconds between him and the leader, 12 seconds or 5 seconds between him and Barkhuizen, and deploy a full 23 seconds behind him. Smith further back, and Ridley in 6th place now, with Ridley chasing down 5th place man, but 18 seconds between him and 5th place man, Smith and Ridley. So I don't think Ridley's within striking distance at this stage, but maybe once the pit stops settle down, Ridley might be a bit further up in the field.
I've got to say, I'm very impressed. The guys coming in, Christian Deploy, who's came into R Factor 2. He's very well known in the Sette Corsa Competizione world, taking the jump into R Factor 2 and getting the swing of things. Moving up into 4th place is no slouch. It's very difficult to do because you've got SA's finest drivers duking it out, and Christian Venter actually pulling into the pits now.
Yeah, Christian Venter into the pits now, and you were right. Deploy is certainly very, very experienced when it comes to Sette Corsa, but here showing his class in the top 5 in that Mercedes-Benz. Big engine up front, big tires at the back, lots of power in between, and Christian Deploy looking so good so far, sort of harnessing all that power, and who knows, he does go into 3rd place provisionally as the pit stops start taking place. Christian Deploy provisionally in 3rd position, and a long pit stop there from Venter. So Venter with a very long pit stop at this stage, still in the pits. This is one of the longest pit stops we've seen here. So I'm not quite sure what he's getting done there. Maybe a tire change as well. We'll have to see.
I think he's maybe fixing a little bit of undercarriage damage, maybe, or nose damage, along with changing tires and getting a penalty. I think he came out a little bit too fast there, dropped the pit limiter a little bit too early, and the stewards were watching.
Oh my goodness me, Venter gets a pit lane infringement, I apologize. Venter gets an infringement over there, And let's see how that affects things. Fenter was running so well just moments ago, and now he finds himself in 5th place with an extra pit stop in hand, as here comes Ridley once again, or at least De Nobrega once again, to overtake one of the BMWs in front here. And I'm trying to see which BMW this is. It's the M6. Could that be Ridley as well, the 7 car? It's either Ridley or other one. Yep, it's other one. And that's Aryawan over there getting overtaken once again.
Well, getting notified with our producer saying that both Deploy and Fenter new to R Factor 2. And I've got to say, they've put on a fantastic show with it. Fenter has to serve his penalty, but if he manages to put enough of a gap, he may be able to keep ahead of Ridley. Going to be touch and go there. I think it's going to be a close one, but
I don't think so. Ridley still has to pit, yes. But we saw Fenter had an incredibly long pit stop earlier on. I'm not sure what's going to happen next as we go on board with Tristan once again. Tristan now getting past Fenter, and Tristan's going to lap Fenter. Ridley goes past Fenter as well. And Fenter really getting the very short end of the stick here, unfortunately, as we still wait for him to come out of the pit lane there. That's a big penalty for Fenter. He's cruising down the pit lane. Eventually, maybe it's another penalty. Oh my goodness me, Fenter is getting another penalty, and we're going to have to figure out something with his penalties, man. It's not ideal as Fenter gets himself yet another penalty.
I think what's happening there is he's coming out of the pit lane. He's not holding enough right, because there is a little bit of the white line that you can't move straight across. He's coming out, he's getting off that pit limiter too quickly, and he's moving across the white line. That's possibly what's causing the penalties to go in, but this is definitely not what you want, and I'm sure the frustration is kicking in. What a fantastic first race he had. Second race, a little bit of a problematic one. You know, my heart goes out to him. It really is bleeding for him at this point, because I've been there. I've known the frustration of it, and well, your sim gear has got to be made out of metal. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so Ridley into the pits. Still in 5th position. Now we'll see who will overtake him. And this could be for position over here. He's going to be in there for a long time. He's going to have to do a fuel stop. As here comes Tristan De Nobrega once again. Ridley still in 5th place. I'd like to go on board with someone as they exit the pit lane. Van der Walt gets 5th place. Ridley goes down to 6th. Fenter in the pits. If we can go on board with Fenter, I'd like to see his on board so that we can see exactly what he does when he exits the pit lane. This is Fenter now. Maybe just a wider view. Fenter goes out the pits. Immediately gets on the power.
Left-hand side.
Yeah, he stays between the lines, gets on the power very fast after that green light over there, so there's no delay from him there. I would have given it a little bit of extra meat there just to be safe, but no penalty infringement this far, so that was a solid exit from Fenter this time. And let's see if he can keep things tidy now till the end of this race. What a disastrous outcome for him. Someone that was right up there fighting for position. He was in 2nd position up until quite recently, and now finds himself all the way down in 6th. Ridley just still in the pit lane. A very long pit stop from Ridley. They're now out of the pit lane. He is in 7th position. So Fenter ahead of Ridley, even after that infringement, after 2 infringements. That doesn't seem right, but yes. Oh, Andre Hillebrand getting very close over there. This is not ideal. The two of them battling it out here is Hillebrand and Luke, looks like it. Gets past Luke, and Luke has the heel, but that was a little bit close for comfort there.
A little bit of rubbing his racing, that's for certain, and just trying to open up the gap a little bit. It can go wrong, but we have seen it go right. These cars can take a little bit of rubbing, and I think this is what we're seeing. Luke trying to come back at Hildebrand once again. People don't realize how hard you actually fight with these GT3 cars, how close you can get to one another. Luke in that tow, having to get out of the way.
Oh, both of them go off. Both of them go off. Luke was right behind him, and I think Hillebrand was going in a bit too fast. Both of them just a little bit too hot there. And now both of them off. But it does seem like everything is well. They're back on the circuit and back to racing.
Well, Rifle definitely putting one in the chamber, and these guys able to avoid the shot. And what a fantastic run there. Hildebrand locking up his wheels going into the complex, and also Luke going and taking a little bit of curb there as well. So I'm wondering if those front tires are starting to feel it now. The mid-engines that's well known for twisting around whenever it can, now starting to take more and more of an impact as the race goes on. 20 minutes and 50 seconds left of this race. You are now tired. If you haven't got deodorant, you are smelling yourself.
Well, someone that almost smelled something else there was Luke, as he outbraked himself ever so slightly over there. Tristan Nobriger back on the screen over here and still in first position. Barkhuizen in the pits now from second place. Deploy currently in third. Barkhuizen out of the pits once again. So let's see if he's managing to hold on to that second position going into the rest of this race. Deploy in third place. And Smith now finds himself all the way up in fourth position. Van der Walt in fifth. Venter in sixth place. Ridley in seventh.
Absolutely amazing. Tristan going out very wide. That car skating around now as he's pushing harder and harder. Now, one thing he's got to be very careful of is not to go and test those track limits far too much. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, Barkhuizen in second place. He'll be happy with that. He was in third position much of the race and now finds himself in second. Deploy also shifts up and scoots up one. So does Smith. Ridley, though, scoots down one because Van der Walt, who was in seventh position earlier on, now finds himself in fifth place. So Van der Walt, a big winner over there. Bernard Barkhuizen in second position. But I think Van der Walt will be quite happy with that fifth place if he can hold on to it. We're still not sure who still has to pit exactly, but I think the Nobriger certainly is one of the people that needs to pit. We've seen most of the other guys pit already with just 20 minutes to go. We know that Tristan does tend to pit a little bit later than most.
He's able just to fuel manage that car and tire manage that car so well, and that's helped him quite a bit. But if I have to talk about drivers that have really taken me by storm, Barkhuizen's been one of them, and so has Cyril Ridley. Has been a total eye-opener for me. But Bernard Barkhuizen getting chased down by the likes of Venter, who's just constantly putting pressure on him. So Venter is out of position at this point. You can see he's got the pace. He wants to go for the pass, but at the same time, you're not fighting for that position. Rather, it's a bit of, do I let him go and just follow, or do I go for the pass and see what happens? It might be detrimental. It's a bit of, you have to use your head in this situation, and Christian has to just be a little bit more patient, I think.
Yeah, and Christian Venter now finds himself in, especially on this circuit, it looks like it's quite difficult to follow on the circuit because there aren't that many sort of landmarks on the side of the track. It's mostly open field and grass and a couple of brake markers here and there. So Christian Venter following on the circuit, especially following someone that's down on you as well, is not necessarily the best idea. So let's see what will happen next as Christian Venter continues to follow the car in front of him over there. That is the 44 car over there, looks like it. Trying to see who is driving that one over there. Barkhuizen, oh my goodness me. So that is second place, man. Barkhuizen in front with Venter at the back. So I don't know, man. I think Venter might want to sit this one out.
Well, you can see Venter has definitely got the pace, and he's really hunting whether he's having a war between himself. Do I go for the pass, and which may compromise his race, or do I rather stick behind and use him to tow me along through the corners? And he's trying everything, but at the same time, he's getting that tunnel vision. He's starting to focus in on the car ahead of him. He's just eyeing out that blue. And unfortunately, we know tunnel vision becomes very, very difficult when you're trying to find your brake markers that are around the circuit. You can see constantly touching the dirt as he slides the car out. I think he's getting a bit tunnel visioned at this point.
Yeah, well, he's half a second faster than the car in front of him. He's also gained some time to the fifth place man over there. That's Van der Walt. So he wants to get to Van der Walt. He knows he's got 15 minutes to do so. So he's going to now try and get past as quickly as possible As mentioned, that's Barkhuizen in second position over there. Fenter making quite the statement here to show that he is quite a bit faster than Barkhuizen, half a second at this stage. And will he be able to get past him, though? That is the big question. Barkhuizen not feeling the pressure, as it doesn't look like he's feeling the pressure at all, actually. He knows that he's got a full lap in hand. All he needs to do is stay ahead.
Well, that's it. This is what I'm saying. You've sitting going, please, can I get by? Please, just I'm asking nicely, can I get by? Barkhuizen is like, you're a lap down on me, buddy. I'll just drive. And not watching his rearview mirrors. He doesn't need to in this point, but unfortunately, Fenter is faster.
Yeah,
and
Fenter is faster as one of the BMWs goes off the circuit there. Fenter is faster. We got Gage Ridley back in the pits there. Smith with a DNF. Smith gets a DNF. That is very strange. Smith gets a DNF. Oh my goodness me. Things are hotting up over here. The man we saw earlier on was running 5th position. Smith DNF. And these guys still tussling over here. I'm not quite sure why Smith is still categorized as 6th place as we go on board with Christian Fenter now.
I wonder if Smith had the same as what Sorodio had in race number 1, where the car took enough damage that it couldn't count, it was excluded because it couldn't make its way back to the pit. You smashed the car to pieces. And Barkhuizen moving across, allowing Fenter by. It's like, doesn't make...
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But I wonder if Smith hasn't taken quite a bit of damage to that car, which has gone and told, said, sorry, man, we're going to have to tow this car off the circuit in bits and pieces. That's why you're out. But that has allowed him to see drivers disappear. It's also nice to gain a couple of positions without having to fight too hard.
Yeah, Fenter and Barkhuizen were just a half a second apart, but Fenter was the faster of the two. So well done for Barkhuizen. Just letting him by, not trying to get any drama. Barkhuizen's second place is secured, but someone that still needs to pit is Tristan de Nobrega. And we've seen Tristan de Nobrega makes another mistake. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty now, and he does! Tristan de Nobrega goes off the circuit, gets a penalty for cutting the circuit, and that's what we've seen. Oh no, sorry, I apologize. That's other one that gets the penalty. I apologize. Other one gets the penalty that wasn't de Nobrega. De Nobrega goes off track, and we've seen this happen before. He makes, just before his pit stop, something goes horribly wrong. And there we saw he went off the track, didn't get a penalty. Unfortunately, my screen wasn't 100% clear at the time, so I thought it was him, but it wasn't. It was Arayawan that got the penalty. Smith with the DNF, and the rest of the field making their way through. That is Fenter coming through there as well. And there comes Barkhuizen, the 44 car over there of Barkhuizen. Makes his way through in second place. Oh, big slide.
If Bernard can keep on to the back of Fenter, he secures his position. That's what he needs to do. But I wonder with Tristan's car, he's constantly pushing harder and harder and harder and harder, that those tires are not gradually falling off. They literally get to a point where there's nothing left in them. And he's having to find that drop off, that sudden drop off point, and then dial it back afterwards. He's finding out that drop off point into some of the harder braking zones of the circuit. And I wonder if that's starting to come into play once again, where it's just dropped off a cliff all of a sudden. Now you have to try and adjust within a couple of split seconds.
Yeah, Damien van der Walt there in 5th place in that number 13 car over there. He's got Gage Ridley in front of him over here. It was a couple of laps down, so Van der Walt will want to get past Gage as quickly as possible. Gage still, however, in the top 10, so in 9th position. And let's see if he's going to let him come past. Damien taking a bit of an unorthodox line over there. And now we're going to find out and see if he's able to keep carving his way through. De Nobrega is still our leader by 41 seconds, even after that mistake. But he still has to pit with 11 minutes to go as we go on board with Damien van der Walt.
Damien trying to keep it all together. You can see it's a little bit twitchy, as when we spoke to Tristan, he said the Ferraris are a little bit twitchy when you dial them in. Damien's starting to feel that, the nose constantly wanting to dart underneath him. He's having to try and control the car as much as possible, where Gage is able to just put down the power and go. But take a look, Fenter putting in the fastest lap time, 1:16.5. Somebody check him. He's definitely got a fire underneath him and is going and giving it everything.
Fenta giving it absolutely everything. We saw him up as high as 2nd position earlier on. And now he finds himself in 4th place with the fastest lap of the race. It's not going to count for qualifying for the next race, but a fantastic performance nonetheless, and a good way to seal his potential on the board, letting everybody know that he's got the pace to be the fastest out there today. And yeah, we've got just word now that's from some of the people. Somebody's engine blew. Ethan Smith, engine blown. And we've also got Andres Sorodio says that he's gutted. Unfortunately, it was just one of those days where he was the man that had all that unfortunate things happen to him. They'll look into that then. Hopefully we will make sure we get that sorted for the next time. Christian Venter braking there unconventionally. Maybe taking a bit easier now that he knows that he's got the pace or not. I don't know. We're going to find out. He's still got 45 seconds to go between him and Deploy. So it's a little bit far back down the road with just 10 minutes to go. There's no point now in doing anything silly. 10 minutes remaining. There comes the sign on the screen as Tristan de Nobrega goes to complete yet another lap in the lead with Barkhuizen 41 seconds behind. Could this be the lap where Tristan decides to pit? Maybe he was waiting for the 10-minute mark. Let's watch him now and see if he's going to make it into the pits and hopefully get out ahead again. Nope, it's one more lap to go for de Nobrega. He's going to keep going and maintain that 42-second lead, but Barkhuizen will be watching the clock closely to try and make the undercut in the pits.
Well, just to let everyone at home know, you have to make one pit stop. You put a liter of fuel in, that counts as your pit stop. Yeah. You can literally run it flat, that there's no fuel left in that tank, and you put 1 liter, that's your pit stop. And Tristan de Nobrega at this point is getting very close to it. I'm sure that, Cameron, you're going and getting back into the circuit, sort of. But you can be sure that Tristan's car is starting to get a little bit of disco fever all over the dash as it's saying, listen, I'm running out of juice.
There goes Christian Deploy, someone that definitely has enough juice inside the tank of that V8's going to need it. I would imagine that car's a little bit thirsty. Christian Deploy doing fantastically. One of our ACC guys over here doing the crossover to R Factor 2. What are your thoughts on Christian joining us there?
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, the new drivers in, from Christian to Fenta, the Ridley brothers, everyone coming over, trying out a new sim. It's always fantastic to see, and you see the driving styles change because you get used to your sim. You get used to the little quirks of it. Jumping from a different sim is very difficult, but Christian and Fenta, well, Deploy and Fenta both have just excelled when they came across to R Factor 2, and I wonder if that's going to change their minds, whether they're going to keep going hard at Assetto Corsa Competizione, or they're starting to get a little bit of an interest into what R Factor 2 is and how the dynamics of it work. So I'm very, very impressed. I've take my hat off to anyone that can jump in from a sim to another sim and do, even finish the race. I know when I tried it, I ended up venturing off into the waters over there. I can tell you what the temperature of the water was, but definitely didn't get any further than that.
Yeah, Christian Deploy, if you're looking at his resume, he's now backed by ATK and also getting some solid results in the various series over there, in the Race Face series, in the GT3 Sprint series by Race Face, getting a win with them. So Christian Deploy starting to get those results in various series and now finds himself also with a potential podium here with 7 minutes to go.
That's it. And Tristan de Nobrega, once again, missing out the pits. He's really running this clock down. And
we saw it from the last time. He missed the pit window the last time and then ended up losing that position. So he's going to have to go into the pits and not make the same mistake again.
And it was in race number 2 that he did it in the last run. So I wonder if someone's going to be tapping his shoulder saying, listen, the pit lane's on your right-hand side. Please go venturing into it. Put a liter in if possible. Let's not lose it. Barkhuizen at this point is going to keep pushing. He's going to try and make sure.
Gage Ridley there. running a little bit wide.
Yeah, Gage just testing, mowing the lawn a little bit, just making sure that everything is all sorted. And now got Van der Walt coming up on the inside, dives up side by side through Beacon. That is brave.
Well done from both drivers over there. Well done from both drivers over there. Fantastic. Oh, Gage really got disqualified. Oh my God, that is not ideal. Gage with a DQ over there. I'm not quite sure what happened. That was a brilliant move from both of them. And Van der Walt getting past Gage Ridley there, and Gage getting the DQ. I know that he had some issues with his rig. He was mentioned that he got disconnected on the rig, so hopefully that's... Oh man, what a pity. I was hoping to see him finish this one as Gage Ridley gets the DQ after some fantastic driving there, even though he was the one getting overtaken. It was very neat little move from both of them over there.
It was brave. That's definite. It was brave, but one person who's going to keep up the pace, and take a look, Fenter behind him now. So Fenter going and allowing Barkhazen to keep up the pace, and I'm sure Barkhazen's busy going and telling Tristan, no, keep going, buddy. You don't need to put fuel in. Keep going.
Yeah.
Trying to make up as much time as possible. And Fenter into 4th place is just trying to utilize the tow to go after Christian Deploy. And wow, it's honestly amazing to see new guys coming in and showing off a phenomenal pace. But Bernard Barkhazen keeping it consistent is definitely working in his favor.
Well, he's in 2nd position, and that's what you want. You want to be on that podium position. You want to get those consistent points haul. We've seen a lot of these drivers not necessarily getting the big wins, but getting all those podium finishes, making sure that they stay on the list and making sure that they gather those points over time. That's how championships are won. Championships are won by consistency, and someone that's certainly proving that consistency now is Barkhazen as Tristan de Dobriga goes into the pits. This is 4th position. Barkhazen will be watching on and watching to see how long the pit stop, not long at all. 6.5 seconds in the pits, it's all it takes. It's a Formula 1 style pit stop. And de Dobriga makes his way back out. Barkhazen's going to be quite some way down the road, I suspect. Not very close. And Tristan de Dobriga still your leader, ladies and gentlemen, with a fantastic strategy and doing just enough there to stay ahead by what I think could be a very, very solid gap.
Definitely stopping and saying, I only want 1 liter. Fuel is expensive. And getting right back out. It is absolutely... It blows my mind of how he's able to keep the car going right towards the end. He's able to manage the tires and manage the fuel to that point. I'm sure that car must have been telling him, I'm going to run out of fuel. It's busy using a rag at this point. It's sniffing the fumes from a rag to keep going. But somehow Tristan has once again just absolutely destroyed the field in terms of able to carry the pit stop so far forward.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I mean, he does it every time. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Most times it seems like it does. And now this time, he's going to be getting a win once again if he manages to keep it together. There goes Searle Ridley, our man in 6th place. He's not going to necessarily get the top 5, but he is going to be doing a fantastic job to cross the line in the top 10. His target was top 10 for race 1. He's going to be doing much more than top 10 at this stage. He's got Tristan behind him coming up. I just let Tristan go past if I was you, buddy. He's got Cameron further back over there, but no threats on either side for Searle Ridley. But, jeez, man, what a performance from him so far. First time out, 6th position, and just finishing the race is really a commendable feat.
Well, you think about it, he's now taken on SA's finest sim racers in such a premier series that you have a chance to win a drive in a GT3 car. You're able to really climb into one of these big behemoths, and to come, your debut race within the top 10, not once but twice, is really good going.
Yeah.
Now Tristan at this point needs to calm down. He needs to focus on just getting the race all together. He's got a bit of a gap. He knows he's got the pace. Unless a mistake happens, and I'm going to put my hand, touch wood. There's lots of wood around me here. I'm going to...
Don't close the door, Searle. Searle closes the door.
I touch wood, I promise. But Tristan needs to just calm down and focus on just finishing the race at this point. Barkhuizen 17 seconds behind. There's a bit of room there, but Cyril just going back into that toe as quick as he can be. But I don't know about you, Ernest. I stood up from my chair and my toes curled inside my shoes. That's for certain.
That was not ideal. Also not ideal is someone like Seradio watching from the sidelines. Unfortunately, he's out of this race, always providing spectacular action, but this time not able to help his championship campaign. Him and Project Vapor will be back, however, and they will come back stronger and hopefully get those results that they deserve. I'm sure we'll see our man Andre Andretti Seradio and Project Vapor back on the start line for the next round.
That's it, and one day I'd like to race against Seradio and the team, or race with them, because I think I've got a lot to learn with how he's able to get into some spectacular fights. Also, likes of Ethan Smith, very, very consistent. Unfortunately, the motor decides that it's had enough, and it said cheers to everyone here at East London, leaving bits and pieces off to the side. It's a shame to see, but he's been very, very consistent, and that's why he's able to move so high up in the championship. Then we got the likes of Arwen. He's been doing phenomenally well as our first place Tristan de Norbrigge takes the checkered flag.
Oh, we missed the checkered flag right then and there. Tristan de Norbrigge, he's in front all the time. He takes the checkered flag. Here comes Barkhuizen in second position. Barkhuizen gets the position. And in third place will be Christian Deploy, a podium for him. Someone that people have told me to watch out for this young man, Christian Deploy, because he is the next big thing in sim racing, according to someone. He's landed himself an 80k sponsorship and now lands himself a third position as well for his trouble. And just behind him is our man Fenta, who we suspected would do well, but unfortunately not as well as we'd hoped. He was definitely right up there, but some issues saw him get pushed down. But here comes Christian Deploy, gets the third place in the Mercedes-Benz. A fantastic performance from him, a fantastic performance from most of these drivers. There's David van der Walt in the pit lane for some other reason. And here comes Sil Ridley. Did Sil Ridley just leapfrog David van der Walt? David is in the pits, Sil Ridley in sixth position. Could this be the top 5 win? Could your prediction be correct, Steve? This would be an incredible turn of events if Sil's able to get 5th place.
I'm checking my crystal ball to make sure that the battery's in, but he's pulling into the pits. Will that count?
Why?
I think he took the checkered flag, and that was that. So I think Ridley coming out in 6th place. What a race, honestly.
What a race.
And I'm going to tell you, I've raced against Christian Deploy in a Assetto Corsa. He has definitely served me up on a platter more than once. He is definitely one to keep an eye out for. 3rd place in his first race here at the Virtual SAGT on R Factor 2 with
incredible.
Minimal amount of practice time compared to the likes of Tristan de Norbrigge, Seradio, and many, many more drivers. I'm blown away with the talent of this race.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic performance from a lot of these drivers. I'm very proud to be associated with this championship, and I'm proud to see what the guys have done today. De Norbrigge, your winner, Barkhuizen in 2nd position, and Deploy in 3rd place. We've got Fenta there in 4th place. Now, we're just waiting to get the official results. If we can just get those official results here, because there was a little bit of confusion at the end there with the pits. But we're going to cut to a commercial break, and we'll be right back after this with the official results.
Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena. Woo!
Oh, there is. In third place, our man Christian Deploy, Bernard Barkhuizen, and then, of course, Tristan de Nobrega. I said I'd bring you guys those results officially. Christian Fent is in fourth place. David van der Walt gets fifth. And behind that was Ridley, Luke, Hillebrand, Cameron. And Arawan makes it into the top 10 after all his efforts. But the man of the moment, or at least one of them, is Christian Deploy. Christian, is it true that you're the next young big thing in sim racing? I'm putting you on the spot, I know, but I thought let me just ask it straight out.
Fantastic.
How was the race? And congratulations on the third place, man.
Thanks. It was really chill.
Yeah.
What happened to me actually?
Okay.
I was slower than everyone in front and positive. So.
Yeah, so that just means that there's a lot more practice up ahead for you. You just got to get the hang of the game. But a third place in this very competitive field in a sim that you don't know, I mean, that must be satisfying.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy. I won't complain at all. I was lucky to get third, but you do.
Steve, anything from your side?
Christian, you say that you are lucky. Let's be honest here, buddy. You got third place at East London GP circuit. There's no luck about it. This is all about outright pace. You had the setup, you managed to keep it all together, and you went and charged your way to the front. Hats off to you. How does it feel to go from Assetto Corsa Competizione to R Factor 2? Totally different sims, different ways they work on, how the tires work. How do you feel?
I feel good. I could actually manage the tires in this game, which is good. But it's much more difficult to, especially the braking for me and acceleration out of slow corners. So it was a big adaptation.
Yeah, of course. I can imagine that's the case, but you did it, and here you are ending off in front of all your compatriots. Well done in third position. I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing more of you. Yeah, I hope we'll be seeing you at the next round. And congratulations on a fantastic performance, fantastic third place. Christian Deploy, we'll see you at the next round.
Thank you very much, guys.
Well, there you go, folks. That was your second place man, Christian Deploy. And here is second place man, Bernard Barkhuizen. After a tumultuous start to the race, Bernard, you find yourself in third position at the start, and then you end up in second place. How eventful was this race for you?
Yeah, man. It was actually a bit lonely at the front, I have to say. Christian Fenter, I don't know actually what it did, but he messed up the start again. Giving it to me basically on a golden plate. Thank you very much, mate. But yeah, no, it's great to be on the podium. It's a pity I couldn't get that P1, but yes, man, Tristan was just too quick today.
Steve, anything from your side?
Bernard, I just want to take my hat off to you, buddy. A spectacular drive, maximizing the points for the championship. Now heading into the next round, any ideas of how to get one up on your competitors? Or how to dial in that Porsche just a little bit further to make you go for that P1 now that you've had the taste of the cherry just once so far?
Yeah, man. You know what? It's all about just putting in the practice. The practice makes all the difference in the world. And just keeping your nose clean throughout the race and not making any silly mistakes. Actually made a mistake by increasing the wing instead of decreasing it. So yeah, that's why I was dropping back that much.
Wow, we were doing some testing and also was surprising to me that decreasing the wing on the circuit actually provides quite a lot of speed. So the fact that your setup wasn't tight and you still managed second place just proves that there's more to come further down the line. And I suspect this won't be the last time we'll be seeing you near the podium.
Definitely not, mate. P1's where I want to be. But look, Tristan is a bit ahead in the championship now. But I'll try my best to see what's going to happen.
Well, it's still early days. Barkhuizen started off the season with a 5th place and slowly but surely got a 7th place and now sees himself in 2nd place. So I suspect that this is going to be the start of a fantastic journey in the Virtual SAGT for our man Bernard Barkhuizen. We look forward to seeing you at the next round, Bernard.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Finally, he gets the win. After all the drama today, Tristan de Nobrega having led most of this race day to day, finally crosses the line in first place. I mean, you must have been so relieved, Tristan.
Yeah, well, the game finally behaved itself and I managed to get the win, so very happy.
Well done. So from your perspective, was it a bit lonely out there in front? How's the Ferrari handling? You get that setup tight enough? No tire issues? We did see you have a couple of moments here and there. Steve suspected that it was maybe your tires going off. What happened out there?
Yeah, so towards the end, it seemed like not only tires, but the brakes had quite a bit of wear. So I started getting a bit of fade. So I had to back it off on the braking zones a bit, which caught me off guard 1 or 2 laps. And then, yeah, I cut the grass a bit. And then when I was on the grass, I was like, oh, no, please, if I come on, do not give me a drive-through, please.
Jeez, I saw that. And somebody actually got a drive-through at the exact moment that happened. So I thought it was you. My screen went a bit wonky at that stage, and I thought it was you. And I announced that it was you, but thankfully it wasn't.
Sure, yeah. No, thankfully. So very happy to bring P1. And then, yeah, we'll see about race 1. Like I say, I'll question with the stewards and just see what they say. Best scenario is they give me my time back that I have to do through the drive-through, and maybe we get a double P1, which would be great. So yeah.
Yeah, let's see what the stewards have to say about that. Steve, any closing thoughts from you for our winner today?
Tristan, I've squared up with you in a few different races, not in the sim, and I'm baffled how you can manage a pace and not empty a tank and still able to go. It baffles me every single time of how you do it. I just want to give you a round of applause, and definitely you're a fuel saver of note. I need to get some tips from you.
I appreciate it, bro. Next time you're in Cape Town, come over. I'll show you a few things.
I still need to go to Cape Town.
So to you, the RDSA team, the Warwick Wealth and Spirit Invest team, congratulations, Tristan de Nobrega. You are our winner, and you remain, at least by my calculations, our championship leader at this stage. We will see you at the next round, my friend.
Thank you so much, guys. As always, appreciate you guys, and yeah, keep well. See you next time.
Awesome stuff. There is your winner, ladies and gentlemen, and your championship leader at this stage, Luke Lucchesi and Seradio, who were fighting for that championship, unfortunately not able to say or do anything about it. Daniel Rowe also not here today. Smith finishing all the way down, unfortunately. So it does look like Seradio might have, or at least De Nobrega might have this championship all to himself, at least at this stage.
Well, it's for now. Anything can happen. There's still a couple of races to go. It is exciting to see the grid starting to mix it up a little bit. New faces coming in, and it is going to be incredible. I can't wait for the next round, and to see all the new little tips and tricks that's going to come out. That's for certain.
And don't forget that these drivers are allowed to have a dropped round. So drivers will be able to drop their worst round. So if you do have a round that you're not quite happy with, kind of like our man Seradio over there is the dropped round option. The next round, folks, will be Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit all the way up in Johannesburg. At this stage, the date is the 25th of September. So we've got quite a big little gap now ahead of us between now and September before Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit, giving these guys plenty of time to practice. I think I might just do a couple of laps myself, Steve.
That's it. I'm actually going and sitting in my rig now because this has made me got the need for speed.
I feel it too, my friend. I feel it too. Well, folks, that is going to be all from us at this stage for this round of the Virtual SAGT, powered by ATK Africa Race Together, Michelin Motorsports South Africa, and of course the South African GT Series, which sees itself goes to East London next week. Steve, your hometown, that's where the racing is happening next week.
Oh, I can't wait. It is going to be exciting, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we will be broadcasting that live. Myself and Steve will be on the mic for that as well. So join us next week for the SAGT next round, of course, the South African Endurance Series as well. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Steven Koenig, and this is the Virtual SAGT. I'm at ATK Arena, of course, the people that make this possible, all the team in the background, and of course, thanks to all the drivers and crew. We will see you guys at the next round at Kyalami. Until then, goodbye.
Jerry.